This is the Real Estate Business Blueprint. This is a 3-hour continuing education class. Is anybody here broker, associate broker? This one also counts as broker credit for an interesting reason. So like it counts for either one. So it can go either way. You will need to be here for the full 3 hours. We'll take a break about halfway through. Yeah, I think that's most of the housekeeping stuff. So my name is Alan Richardson. I'm the managing broker here at Max One. This is a pretty unique class because this one I created this class kind of from scratch just because I feel that there's a lot of folks that are very confused about leads in particular, how that ties in with our entire business, and then how to structure the business and where the majority of business actually comes from. So, you know, this is the business blueprint. And so we're just going to kind of jump in. We got a nice, tidy little class today. So feel free that we can have conversations and the whole 9 yards. I am here to be of service. So, you ready to jump in?
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's everything we're going to, I'm just going to kind of go through it all here in a minute. So I want to start off with real estate is about relationships. Who believes that?
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, but do we act like it's about relationships though?
Not always.
Yeah.
Well,
Not always.
see, it really does come down to the vast majority of our business happens from people we know, people that know us, and people that we're trying to do business with. That accounts for the vast majority. For most agents, 80% of the business comes from people they know and people that know them. And then the rest normally comes from people they're trying to do business with. So, but when you look at how we set our businesses up, do we set our businesses up to be able to build relationships, or do we set our businesses up to try and work leads?
Build relationships.
Well, I mean, like I hope it's about relationships, but really what I see is everyone's chasing leads, and everyone loses sight of the fact that the biggest piece out there. One thing that I'm not super negative about Zillow, but I'm not a fan, if that makes any sense.
I'm sick of that.
Okay, that's fine. Well, I'm with you. Well, you know, like I do think that, you know, they're a big player in our industry, and it's like they're not going away anytime soon. About 60% of buyers start their shopping on there, so they're definitely a force to be reckoned with. Do y'all know what Zillow's revenue this year is going to be? $3.5 billion.
What?
Yeah, you know what Zillow's revenue is projected to be in 2 years? 5 billion. Where do you think the 5 billion is coming from? Us, exactly. Yeah, and so I would rather Zillow didn't make any money because we stopped giving it away to them. And when you really think about it, all they're doing is selling our own. You know, they're selling our listings, and then and then they make appointments and they set up leads, and then they sell them back to us, and then they try and treat us like door openers. And then they take 40% of our compensation every time. And there, for some folks, that's a fine model. And I'm not trying to bash anyone that just does choose to go that way. But when you really break it down, real estate truly is about relationships. Why does somebody choose a real estate professional?
So they can talk to them.
Okay, hopefully it's not just
Trust.
that loneliness. Trust, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we go from being known to being liked to being trusted. And, you know, NAR has been polling the American public for forever. And they've always asked, why do you choose a real estate professional? And for 50, 60 years, it's been trust. But yet still, instead of working on relationships and building trust, we work on leads. So that's the whole premise of where we're kind of going to be going today. And that's kind of where I want to kind of start. But in order to start getting into, does that mean that we don't need to market ourselves? Does that mean we don't need to do things to build our business? No, it isn't. But one of the biggest things I see missing for so many folks is a target client. Okay.
Okay.
Do you guys have a target client?
No. Anybody that wants to work with me.
Well, that's really, really common in our industry,
Yeah.
right? Have you ever heard the expression, there's riches and niches? Gotta be careful how you say it, but,
Riches and
riches and niches, right? Well, I mean, how hard is it to be known for all things real estate throughout Georgia? Well, I mean, if you got a budget like Mark Spain, you can be on billboards and TV and radio, you can do that. Most of us do not have Mark Spain's budget. So that being said, can we be known inside our small group with a particular, focus of people, that kind of thing? See, when you have a target client, this is a target client that you're marketing to. That doesn't mean that this is a target client. This is the only person you're ever going to work with in your entire career. This is a chance for you to build trust, for you to build rapport, and also for you to show specialization. So I'm going to ask you to humor me a little bit. And I'd like for you to do today to walk through the process of choosing a target client for your business. This is one of those where you cannot do a thing. Will it hurt me? No, not gonna injure me in any way, shape, or form. Is this something that you can do to build your business? Yes.
Yeah.
So please, if nothing else, play along with the exercise. I think you'll get some value out of it and start looking at things a little bit differently. So I want you to look at, and I want you to kind of put together who's going to be your target client. And they could be buyers, first-time buyers, sellers, retirees, relocation, investors, probate, doesn't really matter. Whole idea is this is somebody that you want to work with. Somebody hopefully that you enjoy, or with a particular group that you want to work with. Does that make sense? So for my example, I'm going to choose first-time buyers. I really do like first-time buyers. For me, it's always been very exciting to help families that have never owned to own a home. Like, I know that changes people's lives. Like, it changes wealth for the future, that changes the entire dynamic for that family. And so it's a really, really big deal when you take a family that has only ever rented and the first generation buys their home. Next thing you know, the parents are buying a home, and the brothers and the sisters and things like that. It changes. And then wealth is so tied to home ownership. Y'all know what the average net worth of a renter is?
10,000.
$10,000. Y'all know what the average net worth of a homeowner is? Come on, Deb.
300.
$390,000. So do you want to be part of the group whose net worth is 10,000 or 390,000? I'm not trying to go into a deep dive on first-time buyers. I'm just saying that's my target group, and that's something that I care about. I think it's really important. So once you've selected who your target client is, then you got to answer some questions about that. Because the goal here is that when you're done, you can close your eyes. There's almost this picture of this person that you're trying to engage. It makes it much easier for all the marketing that you're going to do and how you're going to focus on. So the first thing is, how old are they? So how old is our first time buyers right
now? 30s.
Yeah, 30 to 40. Right. We have 40-year-old home buying virgins. And so it's a little bit different now. But actually, all of our buyers are much older. Our repeat buyers are averaging 60. Our first time buyers are averaging between 35 and 40. So I'm going to say 30 to 40 is kind of my target age. Now, depending on who your target clients are, it could be 60, it could be 70, it could be retirees, that kind of stuff. Next question I want you to ask yourself is where they want to live, or where they're living now. And by the way, smaller is better. It's not about trying to be Atlanta. Is it hard to be known in Atlanta?
Yes.
Yeah, right. But it can be Carrollton. It can be all the way down to, like we have several agents that they rock the world in their neighborhood. No, they'll do 12, 15 listings in one neighborhood.
Wow.
Well, think about it. Like it's how much harder is it to be known everywhere as opposed to being known in
your neighborhood.
right? Yeah, exactly. So what really is your target area? Right? Where do they want to live? Because it makes it much easier. The other thing is when you have that area focus, how well do you know that area as a realtor? Really good, right?
Yeah,
I
really
mean,
good.
like there's some real value in that type of market knowledge. And then either how much are they making, or what's the average home value? And that's important because you want to be able to share properties that match up to what they're looking for. And then what's their household makeup? Are they young families? Are they older high school families? LGBTQ couples, older couples? What percentage of buyers have no children in the family right now? No children in the household? 75%, which is
Wow.
crazy. Well, but like this generation especially is waiting until much later in life to have kids and to buy homes.
That's true.
And so right now, 3/4 of our buyers have no kids. What do they have though? Pets. 100%. They've got dogs and cats. Now, what percentage of our sellers have no kids? Exactly the same, 75%. 3 out of 4 sellers have no children at home. So if you think about it, like you go to that graduation next year, who's selling houses? Yeah, a lot of times that works out that way. But understanding what the household makeup is for your target clients is important. And then what interests your target clients? Are they, like if they're young families, maybe it's the sports, it's the activities, it could be church, it could be a lot of different things. Sometimes it's social media. But what are ways that you can engage with them? What interests them? And last and most importantly, it's going to be, what do they have that keeps them up about housing? What concerns do they have about housing? What are they worried about? What are they unknown about?
If they're renters, they're worried about the rent going up.
Yeah.
And they don't have a choice.
Yeah,
They
but
either stay
yeah,
or-
I mean but like for me with first time buyers, it's a lot of the same questions, right? How do I choose a realtor? How do I do, how do I save for a down payment? How much down payment do I need? Who do I trust? How do I get a mortgage? What's the mortgage process look like? How do I trust you realtors? Are you guys all greedy? Like there's so many things running through their minds, right?
Mhm.
Because see, what you want to do is you want to paint this picture of who they are, where they are, the whole 9 yards. You want to be able to close your eyes for real and be able to have a very clear idea of who you're going to try to market to, right? So the whole idea is that you really are kind of focusing your marketing efforts on one person. And if you can, whether you give them a name, some agents like to give them a name. I target Susie Seller, or I target Bobby Buyer, kind of thing. And you've got this person, and so all the things that you do, you really focus on it. Now, do you think you need more than one target client?
Yes.
No.
No.
Well, I want you to think a little bit about what's the purpose of having a target client, is so that you can market to that particular buyer group or seller group or whatever, that particular target group. But what happens when I say I want to target first-time buyers, and I want to target movers, and I want to target sellers, and I want to target investors? What kind of message are you putting out there into the ether?
We're not specialized in.
Well,
one thing.
I get it. Can we do all things real estate?
Yeah.
And you can work with buyers, you can work with sellers, you can work with investors, you can represent a client in Savannah. Maybe not ethically, you need to know your market. But what I'm saying is like there's a lot that you can do. And so a lot of people end up just throwing a lot of stuff out there.
Yeah.
But when you have one target client, that doesn't mean that's the only person that you're going to work with. We have an agent, and she is the horse lady. She knows all about ranches. She understands. She knows the difference in grass. It's just green to me, but she knows that this is good for cattle. This is what has horses use. She understands what a tack room is and cross fencing and all that kind of shit. And so it's not uncommon for her to sell 200, 300, 400 acre tracts.
Wow.
And so the other day we had this little house, little 3-2 ranch. She put an offer on. Girl, this ain't no ranch. What you doing in the burbs in here. She goes, well, I sold I helped their parents sell a home and then buy another one, and they referred their kids to me. So even though she's known for ranches, what did she use her target clients to do? To build relationship, to build trust, and that's what we see happen again and again. For years, I worked heavily with investors. That was a big thing for me. And even a year or so ago, I got a call from an old guy I used to work with. He said, hey, I got a trailer kind of out in the middle of nowhere. Did you sell it for me? Sure. Now, am I trying to be the trailer king of Georgia? No, I'm not. I'm not targeting that group, but because I built trust and a relationship during that time, when it came time to liquidate property, he reached out to me. We see examples of this again and again and again. But that doesn't mean that's the only person you're ever going to work with. This is what you're going to utilize to build trust. The other thing is when you become, so let's just say that you focus on, in my example, I focus on first-time buyers. I focus on first-time buyers. What kind of, do I get good at working with first-time buyers? Do I build systems and processes that streamline the entire thing? I become really, really competent, and I don't have to look up scripts. I know what to say. Now I've worked with tens, hundreds of buyers buying homes over the time. How much experience does that give me? What kind of wealth of knowledge can I impart on them? And what kind of level of trust do people now put in me? Now I start building an image everybody knows. Talk to Alan, he knows what he's doing on this. You start getting more referrals. So the more you do something, the more competent you get at it. As opposed to we try and do everything out there all over the place. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So see, the whole idea is that when you have a target client, they're the basis for what we do. I hear all the time, well, I'll be like, are you utilizing social media? I don't know what to post. Why would you not know what to post? You only know, if you don't know what to post, then you don't have a target client, right? Because if you have a target client, so like I'm in my example, first time buyers is my example here. So what kind of lead systems should I use? Lead systems that attract me to who?
First-time home.
First time buyer, right? I mean, like I don't want to go do something that's going to try to attract me to sellers. I want things that's going to attract me to buyers, right? So if I want to make a video, what should the video be about? All those concerns that my target client has.
Mhm.
That's the video I should do, right? What type of property should I share? Should I put up Beyonce's $10 million home? No, my buyers can't buy that. What are they going to buy? 250, right? Yeah. Starter homes, that kind of stuff. So I want to share properties that actually appeal to my target clients. And then if I'm going to do posts, if I'm going to answer messages, if I'm going to do any kind of Q&As, if I'm going to engage on social media, what needs to be my message? Answering all those questions and concerns and interests of my first-time buyers. So it's important that when we have this, we start putting out all this information for, in my example, first-time buyers. Who starts becoming attracted to me? First-time buyers, right? And then it becomes this self-fulfilling prophecy. See, the real problem is we end up with stuff like this, right? Like this is the kind of stuff you see on social media. I really do like the Willie and Snoop Dogg one a lot, but that's just, we post stuff like this and then wonder like, oh no, I'm sure I'm not getting much out of social media. I don't ever get much clients, that kind of stuff. But when you design a target client and then start engaging on that and marketing to that target client, it doesn't mean you're not going to do anybody else. It doesn't mean that you're not going to work other lead systems. It doesn't mean you're not going to do other things. But this becomes your consistent message that you're putting out into space. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
And what kind of stuff are you guys seeing posted online by agents?
Funny stuff.
Well, sometimes funny stuff. I see a lot of the closings, which is the humble brag. We always do the humble, it's like congratulations to the Smiths, right? But really, what are we saying?
Look what I.
Look at me!
I got
Right? So, but I mean, like we just see a lot of stuff going out there. But if you are really trying to utilize social media, utilize your database, those kind of things, you want to be intentional about it instead of just trying. When all you do is just throw this mishmash of stuff up on the wall and wait and see what sticks, it makes it much more difficult as opposed to taking, this is the idea of taking the rifle approach as opposed to the shotgun. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So what, did you guys pick some lead system, some target clients? Did you think through it? Just got it figured out? All right. Well, but let's talk about the systems that we need, right? So is winging it a system?
No. What did you just say?
Is winging it a system? Winging it.
Flying by the seat of your pants. No,
How do you think most real estate folks live?
that's how I've been doing.
Well, but
so.
most real estate folks wing it. We fly by the seat of our pants. We figure stuff out as we go along. We fall into it, right? We don't choose systems. We don't think about systems. So like winging it is not a system. And so if we can start building systems that help us utilize that help us build a business. The other thing here is that, do you think that what I'm talking about is selling a house? Or am I talking about building a business?
Building a business.
See, it's very, very different, right? We're all independent contractors, but not a lot of us think about ourselves as being small business owners. A lot of us think that we're a realtor. I sell houses. I do real estate. Instead of saying, I'm a small business person. And so as a small business person, you need to have systems and processes that's going to help you grow your business, 100%. Now, only 3% of our market is engaged in buying and selling at any given time. Is that good news or bad news? Well, it depends.
Yeah.
But see, this is a market reality that we have. So, like, a lot of people don't really look at the fact that only 3% of our market is actually engaged in buying and selling at any given time. Now, for us, what are we always trying to find? The 3%. Right. I mean, like, that's the 3%, right? That 3%, that represents leads in a lot of cases. That's what we think a lead is that 3%. But how often does a lead go from lead to closing?
Not too often.
But how often does it go from lead to relationship to closing?
Probably very often.
That's like our relationship with the customer, our relationship with our clients has changed over the years. Used to be we were brokers of information, right? So like, I'm gonna do the whole back in my day thing, right? Back in my day, like when I first started, we didn't even none of the listings were online, right? We'd all be waiting around the front door of the office on Tuesday mornings, like, when's the book gonna come? At first, the book just was black and white, just had addresses, and we had to know what every region was, right? They all had different 3-digit numbers that represented your area. And then all of a sudden, the books came with pictures. Black and white pictures. And we were like, oh, wow, we can see what the house looks like, right? And then the internet came. And the internet was like, oh my gosh, they're not going to need realtors anymore. And guess what?
I still do.
More people use realtors. And then I remember when Zillow moved in our marketplace. And what do you think everyone said?
You won't need realtors.
Won't need realtors anymore, right? And guess what happened?
Still need them.
Still need more and more. And then we had iBuyers, and then we had the in-air lawsuits, and throughout, and then we always have somebody that's going to be the next Uber of real estate, and the next Amazon of real estate. We keep hearing these things. Do more people use a real estate professional now, or in the past?
I would say now.
Now, so understand that relationship really has changed, but it's not a relationship where we own the information. What kind of relationship is it?
Personal.
Trust. I mean, like, most of our buyers start their search where? Right? I mean, even our sellers. Well, we're most online. And if it's online, it's true, right?
Yeah.
No, it's not that they can't get information. It's like, can I make heads or tails? Who do I talk to? Who do I trust? Your home is your most expensive asset. I don't care if it's your first home, your fifth home. It's probably the most expensive thing you've ever owned or ever going to buy. Do most people just be like, whoever?
Yeah.
No, right. And that's why it still comes down to relationships and understanding that, 3% of our market is actively engaged in buying and selling. What about that other 97%?
They know some of those 3%.
Well, but see, a lot of times we come into contact with 100% of the public.
Yeah.
3% are actively trying to buy and sell. So we focus on who? The 3%. What do we do to the 97%?
Yeah.
You're dead to me, kind of thing, right? I mean, just leave them lying there on the floor, like just let them blow away, right? I mean, we see that happen again and again. Now, one of the big systems that we have to be thoughtful about is our database. And so, when it comes to databases, I generally believe that, like, if your brokerage provides one, use it. Most people use their phone in some way, shape, or form, but a lot of folks in our industry have access to databases. You know what percentage of people inside our industry actually utilize the database?
30%.
No, hopefully. Well, I mean, on one hand, it's closer to 10%, but like 70% of folks have access to a database. Only 10% in our industry actually utilize a database.
I don't know anybody like that.
Well, let's talk about that. So do you need, now, whether I use the term database, Sphere, CRM, client relationship manager, I'm talking about all the same kind of thing. So do you need a database, a CRM, a Sphere?
Yes.
Okay. Well, we have yes and no. It's okay. So like, can you do everything that a database would do manually?
No.
Yeah, you absolutely could, right? So we could have a place where we keep our prospects information. Where do most of us keep our prospects information?
A book, a phone, contacts.
It's our phone. Most agents just keep it in their phone. But how many of us actually have our clients' addresses in our phone? If I'm being honest.
No.
Not right. And a lot of times it'll just be a phone number. It may not even be an email address. But can we send out emails? Yeah, we can do that through Gmail, right? We can text with our phone. And did you know these things actually call? You can actually call people on these, right? And then can we share property listings? Yep. Yeah, we can go with the Georgia MLS, FMLS, whole 9 yards. We can also set up client searches where they get automatic listings sent to them. Can we nurture our leads?
Yeah.
So we can go through our phone, call, reach out, and engage. Can we have a lead generating website? Yeah, I mean, some people will use the Georgia MLS one. Some people will buy one, that kind of stuff. So you can do it all manually. But what happens when you utilize a system that works with you as opposed to you having to do it manually? I mean, like, like as far as your prospect information, would it not be good to have all your prospects in one place? Right? This is where all the folks that you're trying to work with, all your past clients, all your relationships, all in one place, right? Because what percentage of our folks are actually buying and selling at any given time? 3%. And how good as an industry do you think we do at keeping up with the 97%? See, we want to be their top choice when the time comes. But am I the only one that has seen a client out? Like, I can't remember where we were, but we walked through them and I'm like, oh, hey. They're like, hey, you know that house you sold us? We just sold it. I'm so happy for you.
Great.
That's so good.
Great.
Congratulations.
Makes you wanna say,
I didn't keep up with them. And if I don't keep up with them, whose fault is it? Right? I wasn't keeping up with past clients at that time. And so that was a very painful lesson. But like, can I go and send, all my past clients regular emails? Yeah. How about if I set up where my system sends them out on a regular basis? Yeah. How about, can I text
Mhm.
folks. Yeah. Yeah, text. I mean, the average realtor's database is 300 to 500 people. You guys sending 300 to 500 texts on a regular basis?
Absolutely.
You are?
No.
Okay.
No.
How about calling? Are you guys calling the folks? Wouldn't it might be nice if your system said, hey, these people are probably the most likely to buy or sell, you should probably call them. And then we can, even though we can still set up property listings, I have to go in and check either FMLS or Georgia MLS or West Metro on that kind of stuff. But if you set it up inside your database to where it automatically shares properties out,
Yeah.
when you log in, it will say, hey, Bob Smith came and looked at this house.
Mhm.
Might want to give him a call, kind of thing, right? And you can set up client searches. You can also automatically send, all your sellers to get a neighborhood update once a month. And so you can set up systems where it will send regular emails. Sometimes you can send postcards. Sometimes it'll post it to social media. And most all of these systems will have a lead generating website. So here's the problem for databases, though. If you're new, a lot of times new agents start off and they go, I ain't got any freaking clients anyway. Why would I bother to set up this big? It seems like a lot of work when I don't have hardly anybody. So they put it off, and there's a lot to learn when you first start. So we just don't start off utilizing a database. And then you get in the business, you start getting busy, you start picking up, and then you never utilize the database. And now you're an experienced agent with no database. And the thought of having to go back and start all over again from scratch seems daunting. Like, what a giant hairy mess. I don't have time for this. I don't have the bandwidth for this. It seems really like a huge ordeal for me to undertake. Here's my honest advice. Either way, it's worth it. It's worth it if you're new to go ahead and start off with the right systems from the very beginning. It's worth it if you've been experienced in not utilizing it, because it's never too late to build a business on here. I look at this is one of those things that, like, if you're going to open up a business, let's say here in the shopping center, right? Would you guys have hours of operation?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you have systems in place for, like, how you're going to market, how you're going to reach out, how you're, like your point of sale system for how you're going to collect money, your credit card systems. You would have staff trainings. You would all these kind of things. You'd have all these systems in place.
Mhm.
What's the biggest system that we have to help us grow our business in the real estate world?
Yeah.
CRMs, databases, that kind of stuff. But only 10% of us use them. So this is one of those things that, like, if you look at who are the folks that tend to do the best in our industry, they're the ones that tend to treat their business like a business. Because if you treat your business like a business, then you get paid like a business. When you treat your business like a hobby, how do you think you get paid then? Like it's a hobby, right? Exactly. So, like, either way, I promise you, it is absolutely worth it to invest the time. But let's talk about what that really looks like, okay? And so the big thing about having your database is there's really 4 major things that can truly help you build your database. And it's not nearly as daunting as you may think. So first thing is I don't care if it's like we utilize a system called Bold Trail. They just changed the name from KV Core. Some folks will use KW Command. Some folks will use Top Producer. And like if I was selling software, I would tell you all the bells and whistles and how amazing my database system was. At the end of the day, that most of that doesn't matter for most agents because we need it to do some very basic things for us. So don't get caught up on that. It's not about the system. It's about that you actually have a system. So much more. We actually have one young lady. She's maybe not young, but she has this massive book, and it's a 3-ring binder. It's a 3-inch 3-ring binder, and every time she opens it, papers fall out and sticky notes fall out and that kind of stuff. But whenever she talks to a client, she takes that. She knows where every single client is in there. Every time she talks to them, she takes notes of everything that she's done. Like
back in the day, this would have been called a Rolodex. Some of y'all have no idea what a Rolodex is, but like some of us know what a Rolodex is. And so she had all of her clients' information. She was using it exactly like a paper database. But that's about having one. For most of us, we have access to these online databases, that kind of stuff. And if you do, please utilize it. The very first, most important step on all of them is setting up your profile. That's honestly the biggest thing. You go in, you upload your picture. Why do you upload your picture?
So they can see.
Well, when you upload your picture, where does the system put your picture? Well, it's going to put it on your website. It's going to put it in your email signature. Whenever you send out properties, you're going to be right there. Whenever someone comes to search for properties, they're going to see your picture. So you can put all your contact information, and automatically it's going to spit that out there for you. You're also going to go in, you're going to input your MLS information, because now the system can access multiple listing service. And so if it can access multiple listing service, can you share properties that aren't yours? Why? Why can you share properties that aren't yours?
Because you're sharing it.
You're not altering it.
Yeah. you're not
What does
allowed.
Zillow do? Does Zillow share your properties?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So can you share all the properties that are in the MLS? Now you can't go say it's your listing. You can't go, there's none of that. But that being said, when we input our MLS username, that enables us to be able to do the same thing that Zillow does and then sells us back to us, right?
Yeah.
So we go in, we put in our social accounts, because some of these systems will actually post for you, and sometimes it just makes it very easy to work on there. And then you go and you put in your bio, your about you, that kind of stuff. When you do that, it automatically populates your website. It automatically fills out your email signature, the whole 9 yards.
Wow.
But if you'll just set up your profile, that does a lot about getting your database set up. And by the way, I don't care which system you use, they all operate basically the same way. They're all really, really similar on there. Now, next step is maybe you'll update your website. And I say maybe because all these websites work right out of the box. So if you are techie and you want to, I want this here, I want to move this over here, I want to change this here, I want to add this section, go for it. If you want to just open it up out of the box and be like, there it is, I'm good to go, do you have to do anything with most of these websites? No, not a flipping thing. And you got a lead generating website that's up and working for what you need it for. Next, you want to do is you want to upload your contacts. So who should you put into your database? Well,
Target.
I go a little bit different here than a lot of everyone in the world. I mean, not everybody, but a lot of folks are going to say you need to put in every single person you've ever talked to since kindergarten. And I disagree with that, because I found that I don't have a relationship with them. But if the folks inside my database are people that I know and people that know me and people I'm trying to do business with, is this a bad place for me to be engaging? No. So this is the people I know, people that know me, and people I'm trying to do business with. So people I know me, that I'm going to go and I want to upload those people into the database. And then as I try and work different lead systems, that kind of stuff, I'm going to add them in here. So the easiest thing is to go through your phone. But when you go through your phone, utilize that as the right time to reach out. Hey, I'm just trying to get my Christmas card list. I'm trying to do this, I'm just trying to catch up. That works really good when you fall on your sword. Everybody needs an apology script. We'll talk more about that. But like if all you did was every day you called 5 people out of your phone and added those people into your database. Gosh, that's 25 people in a week. It's 100 people a month. It's 1,200 people a year. We don't have databases that big. See, if you're going to be if you're really going to use your database in a very productive way, this is something you do every day. This is not, I'm going to sit down and hammer through hundreds of things. That's not really effective, because then you're not engaging with the platform. Now, the last thing that you want to look at, and this is again kind of a maybe, is your follow-up plans. A lot of these systems have follow-up plans built in. Most of the time you can turn them on, turn them off. The thing about them are, most of the time they don't sound like your voice. The thing I find the best to do is whichever follow-up plan that you want to reach out, whether it's a text, an email, that kind of stuff, read, a lot of times they'll be in there. But you ever read something that somebody else sent and like, no way. Like you get emails from people and you're like, Bob did not say that. There's no way Bob used those words, could not come out of Bob's mouth. Because when you read an email from people, you hear it in their voice. So whatever they have in there, just go in, read it, erase it, and write it the way you would. Now it sounds like you actually wrote it, which you just did, kind of thing. So, but you get to decide how often am I going to have my system remind me to call my people, right? How often is it going to send property updates? What text messages are going to send? What emails? By the way, email and text messages needs to be really, really small. It doesn't need to hammer people, right? I mean, how much of telling your friends how amazing you are they going to put up with? I'm being real serious, right? Like if every day, like, hey, Debbie, have I told you how impressive I am? Hey, Debbie, here's another thing I do really, really good.
Oh,
Let me tell you about this other thing I'm amazing at. Right? How much of that do you get sick of?
pretty quick.
How about if I send you how much your home is actually worth on a monthly basis? How about if I send you properties that you're actually interested in seeing? How about if I shared you the other homes in your neighborhood that sell and list on a regular basis?
Yeah.
Right?
And I'm
I
like,
mean, like why do people like to
let's
see
get at this.
if I send you properties that you're interested in buying, are those interesting to you? That's very different than, hey, look how amazing I am at negotiation.
don't forget about me.
Right. But and I'm not saying that some of it that I mean, you can definitely do some of that, right? It's okay
Right.
to do some self-promotion, but sometimes folks will be like, all right, I send 3 of these a week. Okay, well, they're gonna unfriend you after about the first week. I'm sorry, I just spit on you. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you
okay.
didn't.
Okay, good. Right. So if you want to really utilize this, then you want to be using your database every day. Right? It's not about going in and hammering through this thing over a course of a weekend or just trying to get through it. Right? This is using it, opening it up every day and working on it for a little bit. It needs to be part of your daily routine. Right? So every day you open it up. Any new leads that come in, what do you think you got to do? I mean, either put them in or maybe they came through your website. So what do you do then? Call them, engage with them, that kind of stuff. When you make calls to the folks inside your database, where do you keep track of that? In here. So you put the notes of when you talk to people and that kind of stuff. And where do you want to share property listings from? Here. This is a great way to do it. You can set up on an automatic schedule. And every time they'll send them just the new stuff.
Wow.
Yeah. Then you can assign them to the different contact plans. So if you go in and you spending 15 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day, engaging inside your database, you'll start getting some real value out of it. That makes sense to you?
Yes.
Mhm.
All right, let's talk about why this is important here. So, do y'all know what the turnover is in Georgia or in the Atlanta MSA?
No, I don't.
All right, who's my chat GPT people? Oh, I got some of this. No, nobody. Okay, I'm a chat GPT here. I know the machines are going to take over the world, but I went in and I said, hey, I'm looking to see what is the percentage of homeowners in the Atlanta MSA who buy and sell their property each year. And so I went through and said, oh, this is how many households. This is the average. How many are owner occupied? How many are investors? And basically what we end up with is that 3.5% of owner occupied households in the Atlanta area engage in buying and selling. But that 3.5%, how many transactions does that actually represent? 2. Well, every one of those is a sell and a buy.
Okay.
Who sells and it becomes homeless, right?
No.
So so that means that it really represents 7%. Even if all you said was, I'm just going after that one. According to the National Association of Realtors, the average realtor's database is between 300 and 500 people. If you got 3.5 transactions out of every 100 in here, then just the average database should be giving you 10 to 18 transactions. That's without working any leads. That's without cold calling. That's without any of that kind of stuff, right? But we don't see our databases as business. See, that's the big deal where when you don't engage in your database, what does your database become?
Useless.
Somebody else's lead. It becomes somebody else's lead.
Mhm.
And that's a hard thing to fathom, right? I mean, like I even went in, I had some of my agents who said, Alan, you're full of crap. My database, 3.5% of them do not transfer. We went into their database and we pulled up their data. Guess what we found out? 5% of their database actually transacted, but they were not getting the business out of it. Because why do you think they weren't getting the business out of their database?
Because they weren't interacting.
Yeah, what were we working on? Leads, right? So, you know, what we got to understand is a lead is the least valuable contact status. A lead is a name and contact information. That's all a lead is. Is there any relationship in that? The percentage of leads that go from lead to closing is pretty small, right? You have to have some things to help you build trust, to build rapport, to go from lead to relationship to closing. I'm not saying it never happens. I'm saying it's not super common out there. I mean, most of us live on relationship status. There are some folks that hammer out calls and those kind of things. And that's you. God love you. I ain't got nothing against you, but it's a little bit different. So let's talk about lead generation, right? When only 3% of your leads are actually, when only 3% of our leads are actually only engaging, a lot of times we end up leaving the other 97% lying on the ground to just blow away, right? The reason for that is, like, how often do people buy and sell real estate? Right now it's running about 10 years, but traditionally it's about every 8 to 10 years here in Georgia. Right now we're a little bit longer of a time frame. We're running right at 10, 11 years right now. It's kind of the average here in Georgia. So is this something that folks do on a regular basis? No, but they are always paying attention because it's a big place where wealth is built, those kind of things. See, everyone in the industry thinks that it's about leads. It's all about leads, right? And so I have a lot of conversations. You know, we're very blessed to have quite a few agents with us, and you know, we do a lot of agent recruiting too. And what do you think is one of the big topics of discussion when I talk to an agent that's interested in joining our brokerage? Leads, right? Leads. What do you got for leads? How can I get leads? I need more leads, right? But the reality is that leads are a trap. They really are a pretty dirty trap. So what I mean by that is, so let's say 3% of your leads are going to convert. So if I want to do 3 transactions this month, how many leads do I need to generate? 100. Is generating 100 leads cheap? No. But I generate 100 leads. I take the 3, I work with them and transact business. Now it's next month. What do I have to do now?
Do it again.
I have to go generate 100 more leads.
Different ones.
Take 3 more out. Take those 3. Leave the other 97. And then how about next month?
Do it again.
How about next month?
Again.
Why is Zillow going to make $5 billion?
Did you keep doing it?
Yeah, because I mean, but y'all follow me here, right? It becomes this really big trap.
Wow.
We end up with a lot of relationships, even if you are generating quote unquote leads. If we don't go from lead to relationship, we are missing out. For a lot of people, it's not no. It's more about not right now. I mean, for the average person, how often do they wait until they can buy?
Or, I mean, maybe not wait, what's the time frame again? 10 years, right?
Yeah.
So does that mean that you're not gonna be looking at housing until the moment that you're ready? No, they're gonna be looking, they're gonna be interested. So see, if all we do is focus on leads, then all we're gonna try to do is take that 3% and we leave the 97% laying on the ground. And we're missing on relationships. We're missing on the fact that like leads are expensive. And I'm not saying there's not a place for leads. There is a place for leads. But understanding how that works is really, really important because if all you focus on is leads, you will always have to be generating leads. Right? That's the hard part. And that's why you see a lot of teams and things like that. And all they're doing is lead gen, lead gen, lead gen. They spend thousands of dollars. We've got an agent that spends $5,000 a month on Zillow leads, right? But she's making, I'm not knocking her, because she makes good money.
I was gonna say,
But what's she gotta spend next month
500.
and the month after?
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, that's tough when you start looking at, like at 60 grand a year, that she spent on leads. So, but if we can't, and again, I'm not saying we don't need leads, but we need to be looking at taking all of our relationships to a different level here. So what I'm saying is that yes, we need leads, but what do you think the goal of lead generation is though?
Building relationships.
The goal of lead generation is to add people to your database. And then we use the database to build relationships. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Because that's like,
Yeah.
this is the big missing piece. This is what a lot of folks don't get. They think all I'm going to do is generate leads, but really everybody, all relationships that you generate, whatever lead systems it is, right? Those need to go into your database. So the goal of lead generation is adding people to your database. Now, the good part is that when you add people to your database, what percentage of them will transact? 3%, right?
Yeah.
So we are going to have some people that are going to be ready to buy sooner, that are going to be ready to engage with us right away. But are we going to let the other 97% float away? No. So our lead generation does begin with our target clients, but this becomes a big piece for us. So how do you choose your lead generating system? And well, let me ask, do you still need lead generation systems? Yes, because we always have to be filling up a database. Even a fully functional database has about 10 to 15% turnover a year. You're going to lose about 10 to 15% of your database every single year anyway. So first of all, your lead system should really match up with your target clients. That's a pretty easy one, right? So my target clients, buyers, that should definitely be, make sure that focus in there. It should also be something that you like to do. I hear this all the time from relationship agents that I know are very much relationship based. And they'll come to me and be like, Alan, I want to work for sale by owners. No, you don't. You do not want to work for sale. Anybody here works for sale by owners? When you work for sale by owners, they will say mean, nasty things to you. They will call your mama names. They will hang up on you. They'll tell you to go pound sand. How'd you get this number? Why are you bothering me? You guys are a bunch of leeches. They will beat you up.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what happens when we get beaten up? You make that phone call, this guy sits on the phone for 3 minutes, berates you and hangs up. You're like, let's make another.
Let's do it again.
Right. Most of us, what do we do? Screw that. I don't want to do it anymore, right?
Or go do something else.
So like when you're looking at lead systems, make sure it's something that you enjoy doing. Just because it may be an opportunity for somebody, it may not match up with who you are, what your values are, what you want, how you want to operate your business here, right? The third thing, and that is equally important, is consistency. This is something that you want to do on a regular basis because the more you do it, the better that you're going to be. When you're utilizing any lead system, it's going to be 1 degree pivots. It's going to be little tweaks that you're doing that will improve. Any lead system, when you first start, will probably not work the way that you want it to. It will not give you the results. And so you do this a little bit different. You learn a different script. You work a little bit here. You get better at it. being consistent with it is, like, unfortunately, we try something, like, well, that sucked, and then we try something else, and that stunk. We don't stick with anything for very long. So what I'm saying about these lead systems is, it should allow me to target clients. It needs to be something that you want to do and something that you're going to stay consistent with and keep trying to work on, and it will work. We've got example after example of folks doing all kinds of really great lead systems, but they've developed them over time that continue to build expertise. Some things that some people would be like, I know an agent who's an amazing door knocker. Now, I know a lot of people are like, door knocking stupid. I wouldn't do door knocking. Their team generated $63 million in sales last year. So you can say door knocking stinks. It may be wrong for you, but for them, they built that into a usable system out there.
Wow.
So let's talk about lead systems here and what we have. So let's talk about buyer lead gen. Now these are different lead generating systems that you can use on the buy side. And so of course we can be doing online leads, Facebook, Google pay-per-clicks, and that kind of stuff. If you're going to utilize those leads, like whether it's Google or Facebook, how do these companies make money?
You pay for them.
Selling ads. Do they want to make it as easy as possible for you to give them money?
Yeah.
Yes. Right. So that is one thing where we see some people go after those online leads with Facebook and Google pay-per-click. The Zillows, the Realtor.com, online portals, those kind of things. 60-40, 70-30 leads, those kind of things. I am, on one hand, not a huge fan, and on another, okay. And what I mean by that is, I see where a lot of times people start off and like, sometimes 60% of something is a lot better than 100% of nothing. So I'm not going to knock someone that utilizes these systems, especially in the very beginning or when they're trying to reinvigorate because they want to build some momentum and they need to get some transactions right away. They're going to give away a lot of their money, but like I said, 60% of something maybe stops you from eating ramen for a month, kind of thing. What I don't like about them is people get trapped. Like, why is Zillow going to increase their revenue by $1.5 billion? Because more people are utilizing it. And agents are always looking for the easy button. Y'all know we are, right? And so if a lead comes and I didn't have to do anything and it's easy to do, a lot of folks will, like, unfortunately, we have an entire group in our industry that doesn't do anything on relationships, doesn't do anything on generating their own business. All they do is take what other companies are sending to them. And that's a big trap out there. How about renters? Who loves renters? Really? You're rare. Most in our industry treat renters like crap.
Only because I know a broker that does that. And she send them to me.
Well, but honestly, I love renters too. I mean, where, like, especially for first-time buyers, where are they coming from? They're renting, right? But how in our industry, how does most of our industry treat renters?
Like they don't exist.
Like they're peasants. Like, oh, you rent? Good for you. All right. So, like, but when you realize that a lot of our first-time buyers come from renting, that could be a great thing. Now, we have a couple of folks that work heavily with apartments. A couple of things that you can do there. One is like we have a couple that actually door knock apartments, and it's amazing when you actually do that. What percentage of renters want to own? 83%. 83% is the number of renters that want to own.
Yeah.
So if you knock on somebody's door in an apartment, what's the likelihood that they're going to be open and talking to you? It's higher, right? And you say, hey, now, do I think you ought to go door knock $600 a month apartments? No. You go rent $1,800 a month apartments. I mean, these folks probably be able to afford to buy a home, kind of thing. Sometimes some of these apartments are $2,500 a month.
Yes.
Kind of thing. But you go and you say, how long you lived here? Oh, I've been here 2.5 years.
Times $1,800 a month. Okay. You realize you spent $50,000 here in the last 2.5 years?
Yeah.
You know, zero equity for it? Yeah. That's a real easy one. Now, the other thing is a lot of times you'll have, some of these are gated and some have no soliciting. What do you do with those? You sneak in the gate? No, do not sneak in the gate. But especially on your high-end apartment complexes, what do they all have? A licensed property manager. So we have one of our agents that pays a 10% referral to the property manager. She holds first-time home buyer classes at in their clubhouse kind of thing.
Whoa.
Yeah. Now, one other thing that I really like are 9-month rentals. Like go in the MLS, full list of homes that got rented 9 months ago. What's going to happen to the people living in those homes in the next 3 months? They're either going to renew this lease or going to get a new lease, or maybe it's time for them to. Well, I mean, they're already doing, like, they already understand, like apartment people, they don't know that you have to buy water. They don't know that garbage costs money. They think, oh, what? I have to pay for that. When folks are in a home, they understand a lot of the benefits of home ownership, but they're not seeing any of the financial benefits of home ownership. So you go and you say, look, one of 3 things has happened to you. The other thing I really like with renters are, like, a lot of people in our industry are really wound up right now about these buy to rent neighborhoods and build to rent neighborhoods. You know, we have some builders coming in and building a whole neighborhood.
Yeah.
And they are the most cookie cutter things you've ever seen. They don't even change the colors on them anymore. Like for customization, they let them pick their front door color. That's it. Have you seen what the rents are running in those places?
A lot.
2,500 is the average rent.
Yeah.
A lot of those folks end up living there for a year because they just don't know where to go. You know, they don't have anyone to trust, that kind of stuff.
Or they think it's.
But I'll hear agents be like, oh, I hate those. I'd be like, look, you've got 300 households that's probably going to move in the next year. Why would you hate that? Like they're all in one place.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's the place to go.
A lot of my
And
friends think
engage.
it's just easier to rent as well
Yeah.
because they don't have to worry about
They
all the
say it.
stuff. Yes.
Yeah.
It's all combined into one total, you know, but I'm trying to tell them like, hey, you need to buy.
Well, where does wealth happen?
Yeah.
Where, you know, a lot of folks right now, you know, there's a big talk about the folks, you know, boomer versus millennial in a lot of things. And a lot of times you hear like, well, the boomers don't understand. They've got a lot more money.
Yeah.
Well, where did the boomers get all their money?
Home ownership,
Well, when did the boomers buy their first home?
20s.
In their 20s, late 20s. 28 was the average boomer.
Okay.
When are a lot of millennials buying their first home?
Like 30.
35 to 40. So 10-year difference.
Yeah.
What's that 10-year of equity and payment? See, like the average property appreciates 4.5% a year. So over 40 years, that's 44% appreciation. That's also 10 years of paying down your mortgage.
And
So
I always-
the longer you wait,
I advertise myself as like owner, your mortgage doesn't change in 30 years, but if you're renting, it goes up and there's nothing
Every
you
year.
can do.
Yep. So, I don't know why. Social media is another place where you can definitely do a lot of things, not necessarily just the pay side of things, but just out and engaging, reaching out with your sphere, with your messages, with your videos, those kind of things. Down payment resource. If you are a member of FMLS, then you have access to the down payment resource. This is, it can be on your listings, but also you can just send the client there and say, hey, down payment money is available. Sign up here and we'll tell you what programs you're eligible for, and then they'll have a lender call them. They'll also send that lead back to you, and then you have your lender call them too. So can we market HUD homes?
You find any.
Well, I mean, we have some. I mean, I'm not about bait and switch. I don't mean like in part of message that's not really true, but for a lot of consumers, what do they think about HUD homes?
It's a fixer upper. But it's 100%
Cheaper.
$100 down payment.
Only some are, yeah, they do still have the $100 down payment program. HUD homes have changed very, very
I know.
differently from how it used to be back in the day. Like back in 2006, 2007, HUD homes were deals.
2008, right? When you heard HUD Home, it meant this is going to be a bargain. Our HUD Home's bargains now. Now they're all fair market, but is that an opportunity for you to have a conversation with somebody? Yeah, that can be a good opportunity for that.
Mhm.
How about new construction?
That's all I do.
I love, adore, cannot say enough great things about how much I love new construction. I think new construction is an amazing place if you want to work with buyers.
Mhm.
It is so good. Who are the builders marketing to?
Us.
Us.
Mhm.
Are the builders going direct to consumer in a lot of cases?
No.
No. A lot of times they may list one home in the whole, they may have 10 out and only one's listed in the MLS.
Yeah.
Right? And a lot of times the consumer knows the specials that they're running.
Mhm.
No, a lot of times they have no idea. Right?
Mhm.
See, like if you want to work new construction, this is going back to old school, baby. Right? This is where we got to put in the like you want to go and you have to meet the on-site agents. Hey, what kind of specials you run? Oh, right now we're running 4.99. That's great to know. What else? Oh, well, we have this in incentives and we're throwing in a full kitchen and we got this over
Yeah.
here and garage door openers and blinds and You know, we have, and there's also a $10,000 extra incentive. You know, they can buy their rate down even more.
And it depends on, at least what we do for new constructions, depends on your contractor. We'll list it early, like while it's still being built, and if you get a buyer, we'll be like, hey, since you got here early, and you are investing whatever, you get to pick, the house color or the inside color,
Yeah,
obviously you do
something.
pink,
Yes.
Yeah,
we're gonna have to charge you, sort of thing, but if you are like,
right.
yeah,
But like
just some kind of motive where people are like, oh, wow.
I adore new construction right now.
Mhm.
Because so many of the new construction guys are leaving it up to the realtor community to market their listing. So now I can go stand in front and they're all gonna give you permission. Like, I don't know any of that will say, oh, don't come take a video here. Oh, don't do that. Like, and so we have agents like, we got a couple of folks that sold well over 20 and 30 new construction homes last year.
Mhm.
And all they do is stand in front of, they take their phone out and stand in front of them and say like, hey, these townhomes, brand new, average payments under $2,000 a month, call me.
Yep.
Hey, if interest rates are really affecting you, right now, this builder has a 1.99 first year, 2.99 second year, 3.99 term of the loan, call me. Right, the whole idea is that call me, because they want you to bring a buyer. Now you can be a brand new agent with no listings and be able to go and use these properties to reach out, to engage. Also, where are you going to find the best deals in new construction? Standing inventory, right? They're not going to work with you on if it's not coming out of the ground. They're not cutting any kind of specials on nothing. And I get it. If I was a builder, I'd do the exact same thing. Once it's out of the ground, the clock's ticking. They got to get that thing moved. So I love being able to work with new construction. It is a great place to do. How about home buyer classes? First time buyer classes.
Yeah.
Those work exceptionally well. Now, if you're going to do the buyer classes, you market it and then you follow up like a week out, and then you follow up 2 days ahead, then you follow up the day before, and then you follow up the morning of. Because otherwise they all wake up Saturday morning and be like, I'll just roll back over. So you want to make sure that you do it. But then who's the most important person that's at your buyer class? Who do you need to have? You. Oh, yeah, buyer. Yeah, okay, thank you. But you, right? Sometimes I see agents will do this and they'll have a home inspector and an appraiser. They'll have a closing attorney. They'll have a pest control guy. You've got maybe an hour and a half max. I'm losing some of y'all already. Like you got an hour to an hour and a half before they completely lose it. If you take all that time for other people to be the subject matter experts, who, in my opinion, you need you, and having some kind of lender is a really smart play always. But having a partner there for that can be really, really beneficial. But it needs in all a buyer's presentation or a buyer class is a buyer presentation to everybody. What you would normally do sitting down with one person, that's what you're going to do in a group. Social farming. A
A lot of times if you have, if you're part of any particular social group, you can be like, we have an agent, she is the kickball realtor. I didn't know kickball was really a thing. Apparently it's a big deal.
Yeah.
So like, she's the kickball realtor kind of thing. So anytime that you can become part of any kind of social group, it's an excellent place where you automatically have
Wow.
rapport, trust, that kind of stuff. I don't know, I listed social media twice. Relocation is an interesting one because relocation tends to be very expensive. Relo leads will run you about 50%.
I paid 43%.
Okay, yeah,
one.
but
Thank God the listing was
Well-
800K, but
well,
still.
yeah, I mean, it does feel painful. But the benefit to relocation leads is they close,
yes.
right? They got to move. So, and like as a buyer coming on a relocation, can they go out and throw out stupid low balls? No, because they got to move. And as a seller, can they throw out really stupid high prices? No, because they got to move.
Mhm.
So those tend to move much faster. If you really want to work relocation, then go and pull up your local chamber of commerce. Get the 50, 75 largest businesses in your trade area. Knock off the first 2 or 3. They're too big, too government, too corporate, whatever. And then go down and start setting appointments with either the director of human resources or the CEO. And go and look those folks in the eye. Be like, I'm going to take care of your folks so good that they think I'll work for you. Right? Like I care about this community. I care about the folks who live here, and I will do a really good job for them and for you. For a lot of these folks, do they want to just get some cold name off a list, or do they want to have someone that they feel they can trust
Somebody they can trust.
to help them? So, all right, how about investors?
Yeah.
I love investors. I am an investor, but for our buy and hold folks, there's a understanding that how investing really works, understanding what cap rate is and how to calculate NOI and all these kind of things is an important piece. But the great part about when you start working with investors, my wife had one guy, he bought 22 houses over 18 months from her. I've had one guy back when we were selling that way, we probably did 50, 75 houses together. Over a couple of year span. So whether they're flippers or buy and holds, it can be a really good place to be. One thing about investors is, and it sounds disingenuous, but they need you more than you need them. I don't work for an investor that's there to take advantage of me. The investor's like, hey, I need you to find me off market properties. I need you to do this. That's not what I'm talking about. I don't do that kind of stuff. If you're looking for a true partnership there can be some good opportunities there. Agent referrals are a big deal. How far are we moving these days? How far are our buyers and sellers moving?
Different states.
Well, it depends on the age. The older the buyer, the more likely they are to move farther. The younger the buyer, we're seeing where younger buyers are moving less than 30 miles. But even that's double what it used to be. The average move in Georgia used to be 14 miles. Now the average is closer to 30. But if your target clients are 60 plus, it's over 100 miles. Well, I mean, are you guys here gonna drive to Cumming? Okay, maybe you will. This chicken in. So I would much rather have some folks that I can refer that out to, and hopefully when they have folks that want to operate on the south side, that they will. So like having good referral networks can really be very, very beneficial to you back and forth.
Let's just put it this way. If it's worth it, I'll drop it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Not for $100,000.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm with you. I mean, like, but by the same token, I still see a lot of value in having those kind of relationships back and forth. It can be really, really helpful here.
I didn't even do social circle. Took me an hour and a half to drive there, but it was worth the price.
Can be. It's a
It's
haul
worth
though.
the price, yeah.
How about open houses?
Yes. They can be awesome.
I
They can
hear,
be slow, but they can be
I
awesome
mean, it
at the
definitely
same
depends
time.
on the property and it depends on a lot of factors, but one thing I want to really kind of highlight here is that open houses are a very big deal. And there is a lot of opportunity with open houses. We have two very distinct camps in the open house world. We have folks who are like, open houses are amazing. I do a lot of them. And then over here, I have open houses suck, but I will never do another. Like this past year, you know, we host this thing called the Tom Ferry Summit every year. And during the whole thing, they bring up all these big producers in real estate. And they talk about all the things coming and going and what's happening with real estate, how they started off and what they do for business and the whole nine yards. And we keep hearing, and this past year, they interviewed them kind of before they spoke, like, what do you do? How'd you start? What do you know? And I kept hearing open houses, open houses, open houses. I hear open houses, open houses. And I heard it for the full 3-day conference, everyone talking about open houses. These people are selling hundreds and hundreds of houses a year. They're telling us all how good open houses are. And then I'm standing in the office and I got an agent with 0 transactions. Like, Alan, open houses suck. Yeah, you're right. Those folks over there are selling hundreds of houses. They must think that that's really, really bad. So I think that we do spend a lot of times, we don't understand some of the power of open houses and how things are actually working right now. For our buyers, what percentage of buyers are attending one open house? 70% of buyers attend at least one.
Says 7.
70. For now, and that's just one open house. You've got like 25% attend 3 or more. With open houses, or just with showing in general, what do we have to have signed prior to showing a home to a potential buyer right now?
Advertise.
No. What do we have to have signed?
Representation.
We have to have a buyer brokerage agreement or a showing agreement, right? Well, if you're a buyer and you want to see houses, but you don't trust anybody yet, what do?
Go
You go
look.
to open house.
You go to open houses, right?
Because you-
But you have to understand some of the dynamics, right? So like when you first go there, when like for me, I always have, I like to have some kind of little $25, $30 gift card. I have them sign in when they come in for sure. And what's always the question that we need to ask?
Looking to
Where
buy.
you have
Hey,
representation.
are you working with an agent?
Or, yeah,
Right, yeah. And what will they always tell you?
no problem.
Oh, they probably say yes. Most of the time they'll be, yeah, I got somebody. Oh, really? What's their name? I know a lot of folks in the industry.
Yeah.
And they're like,
Call their bluff.
yeah, well, but I mean, that the vast, like 80% of the folks that go to open houses are unrepresented.
Yeah.
Right? This is your chance to build rapport, to build a relationship with these folks. Like when we hold open houses, I like to have multiple people. You also need to be able to promote yourself as much or more than the house. Over all my years, I've sold maybe 2 or 3 houses at an open house. It's pretty rare that the house actually sells at an open house.
Yeah.
I can't count the number of people that we've built relationships, both buyers and sellers, at an open house. That's fair. You know, I mean, we've picked up more listings at open houses than we've actually sold at an open house, right? I mean, so we've done 10, 15, we picked up 10 to 15 other listings just from doing an open house where the neighbors come out and be like, wow, you guys know a lot of stuff. I see people all the time, kind of thing. And so it's a real big deal. But you want to promote yourself. You need to have a personnel flyer. You need like you're being interviewed. You a lot of times don't realize it. I see a lot of folks will do an open house to shut up a seller. And you know, you can normally see those open houses. The agent's standing by the door like, this is stupid. Kind of thing. People come in the house that way. They're like, see, I told you open
No
houses
effort.
suck.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. But when you go in, you start engaging with people. We like to do open houses with multiple people. I like to pull up a list of other homes that are similar to that one. And when they come in, I'm like, well, what do you like about the house? Well, what didn't you like about the house? Oh, I didn't like this. You know, I know some other homes right around the corner. you want to look over my list with me? They're similar to this. Some will be, oh, it's on an open floor plan. Oh, I need 4 bedrooms, whatever it may be. I've got a whole list of things right here. Did you want to set, are you working with somebody? Can I go show these to you?
Yeah.
It's a great chance for in there. But staying consistent with it too. Not every house is going to be a home run, but over time, consistency really, really pays off. I also am a big believer in putting out signs. We put up 15 signs on our open houses, which seems a lot. Because more signs you put up, the more people come, like the bottom line. Make sense?
Yeah.
All right. Any questions about that? All right. Then the last thing, our sponsors are here. We'll let them jump in here in 1 second. Event marketing at events can be a really positive thing as well. So when you're doing event marketing, that's just where you go to the different events. You are kind of like we do the Geranium Festival every year. Sometimes we do some different things up in Atlanta, different parks, all kinds of things that you can do. We like to normally we'll give away something big, partner with a lender or an attorney kind of thing. We'll put like a Yeti up there.
Mhm.
Everyone that comes through, they'll fill out a sheet with all their contact information. At the bottom, it says on a scale of 1 to 10, how are you interested in buying and selling real estate? Last year we did 450 names. We had 40 10s. And now all you do is call those folks, be like, tell me what's up. I saw that, and sometimes, oh, we're already on the market. And that's great. Good luck, that kind of stuff. But sometimes it's like, we had one last year where they're like, well, I just don't know how to get approved for a mortgage. I don't know what my credit is. Put you with a lender. Next thing you know, she had a 780 or something ridiculous kind of thing. So we're just going out there and doing that.
Okay, well, we're about halfway through, so we're gonna stop for a lunch break. But before we grab some Chick-fil-A, I'm gonna introduce y'all to our sponsors, Victoria and Dustin.
Cool. And let's play. So that we kind of wrapped up with our buyer lead gen. Seller lead gen is similar in a lot of cases. One big thing on the seller side, seeing how much your home is worth. Whether you use HomeBot, My Home IQ, that kind of stuff can be very, very helpful. Every client that you have should have, like, when you know their home address, you need to be sending them updates on how much their home is worth. So whether you're doing a video CMA, mailing them CMAs, My Home IQ, something, because what you're doing is you're empowering them. Like maybe they need to refinance, maybe in CapCredit. We just had one that refied and then went buy an investment property one already. Maybe they need to just refinance, save the money. Maybe it's going to be time they see how much equity they have. We've been rolling out the My Home IQ thing. We had several people who are like, if I got that much money, I'm just going to go buy another one, kind of thing. Again, for sale by owners, we talked a little bit about that. If you are tough-skinned, these are people that need our help. You already know what the average or what the average difference is between a for sale by owner list sale price and an average agent assisted home. No, what they actually sell for. What does the average for sale by owner sell for? What does the average agent assisted home sell for? What's the difference? $95,000.
Really?
Well, most of the time it's because they do it because they want to save commission.
Mhm.
Well, good job, but even
But
then,
now
there's only one included. But do they know how much their home is worth?
No.
No,
What do they have? Zestimate.
yeah.
How good that work for Zillow? Zillow couldn't do it. Zillow lost $1 billion doing it. And then they have to be there for every showing. How creepy is that? They don't have a super lockbox on there. Most of the time, they're not listed in the MLS. The people that buy for sale by owners tend to be very good negotiators, and the for sale by owners themselves think they're good negotiators, but they're terrible negotiators. You put that all together, yes, you may have saved $10,000 or $15,000, but you lost 80 grand in value. Expired listings is another one, very similar. You're gonna work expired listings. Really, it's about being engaging, but don't be really, really pushy. When you call an expired listing,
For us, it was always very permission based. And, do you think that it was, like, Mr. Seller, why didn't your home sell? Was it price? Was it presentation, or was it promotion?
Right.
That's always been my kind of go-to line: price, presentation, and promotion. And they're going through all that kind of stuff, right? So that can be a good one. Seller classes. Just like buyers. If you bought a home, selling a home is exactly the same, then, right? No, 40% of our sellers have never sold a home before. Networking, business to business. If you, some folks are part of a BNI, Business Network International, but if you want, a lot of times those are full for the realtors. So if they're full, you'll make your own. That works really good. I really like probate and divorce attorneys a lot. But what does a probate and a divorce attorney need from a realtor? Do they need that you've got a good heart for divorcees and that kind of stuff? No, they need you can turn property, because until you turn property, they can't close their files. Now, if you are going to work the divorce and probate, divorce attorneys, or if you're going to be working with divorcees, you have to be a good counselor. You're the only person everybody talks to. It's always you tell that B and you tell that A, and like even the attorneys don't talk to each other. You're the only person everybody speaks to. Probate attorneys, you need to have resources, not necessarily financial resources, but understand how good, because they'll be like, Dad passed away. We're gonna put Mom in a home. We need to paint the bed, the Pepto-Bismol bedroom. We need to get the carpets clean. We need to get this done, that kind of thing. Geographic farming. I love geographic farming. Find it to be really, really helpful. Most of the time it's going to revolve for most of us around a neighborhood. A lot of people pick neighborhoods based on which neighborhood is pretty. That's not how you pick a neighborhood for a geographic farm. What's your goal for a geographic farm?
Become the agent.
I want 30% of all the listings coming out of this neighborhood. That's your minimum goal. So you go one neighborhood and they sold 3 houses last year. What's that mean? What's your goal then? 1, right? Now you go down the street, this other neighborhood, 15 houses sold. And you figure, okay, if my goal is 30%, that'd be 5 listings, and at least half of them will end up with a buy as well. So that would be, I'm going to end up with 7 transactions. Based on the price point, I should make around $9,000 a transaction. 7 times 9, $63,000. Is it worthwhile to invest to farm this neighborhood? Yes. Because if you can't get 30% of all the listings out of the neighborhood, then you shouldn't be farming. But then you reach out every single month. It's about staying consistent with it. You can't do it once. So many agents try and farm one neighborhood 1 month and be like, well, that sucked. It will. You have to be consistent. Every month they need to get something from you. You need to be in front of their face every single month. Same thing on social media that we talked about before. If your target client is sellers, what kind of message are you putting out there in social? Same thing. Relocation is very similar as well. Short sales and pre-foreclosures. This should only be done by experienced agents. There is not a very big market for this, but there are sometimes the big thing we see happening right now is the foreclosures and for sale by owner, and short sales out there. That's very few of our people are actually underwater. Right now, they're saying the last number I saw was 70% of foreclosed homes had equity of over $40,000. Now, does that mean that these people, like, what happens when folks have hard economic times? Unfortunately, they shove their head in the sand. They try not to deal with it. And then what happens when the bank comes calling? Now they shot themselves in the foot. And so I'm not saying that they're going to be like, yay, let's go sell our home. They won't be happy about it. But would you rather move on and take 40 grand with you to the next place? Or would you rather the bank take everything? Because the bank, there'll never be anything left after the bank forecloses on it. Absentee owners, I like absentee owners a lot. These are people that own property, but I in particular like absentee owners that live in other states.
Yeah.
You know, I used to own I had a rental house up in North Carolina, and I just never knew, like, is the door sitting wide open today? Is it burnt down? I just didn't know. It's too far for me, that kind of stuff. So being able to reach out to those people. Right now, VRBO and Airbnbs are 2 really great opportunities, because all these folks got into the Airbnb business thinking, man, I'm just gonna be cashing checks. And then they found out it's actually a lot of work, and then they don't make nearly the money they thought they're going to. So we're seeing where a lot of those are starting to get relisted right now. Circle prospecting and trigger marketing are both very effective seller lead sources. That's where you take a listing. If the listing is yours, it's a trigger marketing. If the listing is not yours, then it's a circle prospecting. And what it is you go in and you see this house listed in this one neighborhood. If there's one house gets listed in a neighborhood, what happens over the next 2 or 3 months? 2 or 3 more come up. So the whole idea is that, you reach out, hey, the house over on 123 Smith Street just got listed last week. It's already under contract. We have more buyers than we have sellers in this area. Have you ever thought about selling? Because that house was listed for $429. That's the whole idea about doing circle prospecting. Data mining, Remind is probably the one that most folks are using, because if you have access to FMLS, then you have access to Remind. If I can go in and pull up a list of homes that are 2-story, have at least $200,000 in equity, and have been owned for 20 years, and they'll give me a list of their names and some phone numbers and some email addresses. Are these folks ready to get rid of stairs? Yeah, if you live in a home for 20 years, yeah, you better believe it. We can use BPOs, broker price opinions. Some folks use those just for mailbox money, but other folks actually use those to help generate REO listings. There aren't very many of them, but if you are going to do that, the whole idea is that the only thing that you can do to stand out on a broker price opinion is the narrative section. They all have these little narrative sections you can fill out. You want to write books in there. It's the only way you can stand out to an asset manager. iBuyers. Did you guys know that you can use iBuyers to get listings? Everybody thinks that iBuyers, they can compete with them, but like we had some friends of ours that were going through a really nasty divorce, and if something didn't happen real quick, somebody was going to die. So we ended up submitting their property to OfferPad. They bought it in 9 days, and we made 1%. We didn't list the property in the MLS. We didn't do anything, and we made 1%. Now, I'm not saying that that's the goal, but what you find is that what you do is you set up 2 appointments with every potential seller. And you go and you take pictures and you take notes and you build rapport with the seller. And you say, I'm going to submit this, and I'm going to come back with a full list of what these iBuyers what OfferPad, Open Door, all that kind of stuff will offer you for your home. Then you go and you submit those, and then you do a comparative market analysis. And you come back and you say, OfferPad will give you 380, and Open Door said 395. And I did a comparative market analysis, and just fair market value has this home closer to 450. What would you like to do? Now, all those, they all say they have, no compensation is included, but there is a 10% convenience fee. So then we talk about door knocking. If you are going to do door knocking, dress professionally, go in groups. One go on each side of the street, kind of thing. That can work. It's more about going out and building rapport and building relationships. Agent referrals. We already talked about that. Same kind of thing on the. How many lead sources do you need? You do 10 buyer lead sources or 10 seller lead sources? Mm-hmm. No, you can't. You're going to do 10 very crappy.
Yeah.
You really need 3. 3 to get you really rolling. 6 makes you pretty much recession proof when you have multiple lead sources, because you're always going to be bringing people in. You're going to be using these to always refresh and keep your database full of new relationships for you to engage with. Remember, this is not about, we may pull some of these folks who are interested in buying and selling out of here right now, but anybody that we build a relationship with, where are they going? In our database, in our system. So because this is not about just plucking that 3% out. So decide what you want to do. Develop your systems on there. When you first do it, if you don't have any that you're working on, do one and get really good at it. Then add a second. Then get really good at doing both those. Then add a third, kind of thing. Put it on your schedule. If it's not on your schedule, it does not exist. That's just the bottom line. If it doesn't show up on your schedule, it will not happen in real life. Right? When you put on their workout, what do?
Workout.
we work out, right, exactly. And then you need to work on it every single week, something that you're gonna do on it. So just to wrap up, right? We use lead systems to fill our databases. We use databases to build relationships. This is the missing piece for most agents. They think lead closing. No, lead relationship, right? So it's not about leads. It's not about driving leads. It's about building relationships. So we also have to stay engaged. Most, especially cold leads. Cold leads needs 5 touches from you, but the average realtor does 1. When you first talk to somebody, do they trust you right now? No. But a lot of times we don't hear from them, or we just make 1 reach out. They don't answer, they don't respond. What do? They were busy. They weren't interested. This was a crappy lead. They're not real. Is that the case? No. So let's talk about prospecting. Now, prospecting is honestly where going to work in real estate really, really exists. This is the big deal. But here's the reality, though. Prospecting is not cold calling. For a lot of agents, prospecting is a dirty word. They think I'm talking about cold calling. I am not talking about cold calling at all. I'm talking about reaching out to the people that you know. People you know, people that know you, people you're trying to do business with. Are those cold calls? No, it isn't. So that's what I'm talking about when I start talking about prospecting. And so prospecting is about building relationships and engaging with people. Now, we have an awareness test to do. Y'all ready? I want you to count how many times the team in white passes the ball. Okay. How many passes?
12.
16.
14.
13. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Who saw the moonwalking bear?
Who saw the what?
The moonwalking bear.
I didn't even see that.
Kidding. Keep watching.
Walking bear.
Moonwalking
Oh,
bear.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He walked right through the whole thing. So who saw the moonwalking bear?
Not until you mentioned it.
Right?
I was counting the ball.
Right. No, but see, the kicker here is what you're focusing on grows. Whatever you focus on grows. And so I find that we end up focusing on a lot of the negative things. So like, what happens when you focus on going broke?
You're gonna go.
Focus on I don't have enough leads. I don't have enough business. Right? Like, is that what should we be focusing on?
How to make money, how to get leads. Or
How about buyers and sellers?
Yeah.
Right. Like just keep it really, really basic. What happens when you focus on buyers and sellers? When you focus on relationships, when you focus on talking with the people that you know you, and that you're trying to do business with, that changes your entire business right there. It's all about building engagement with the folks. And see, that's where the real kicker comes, right? Instead of going out and trying to generate all these leads, if you focus on engagement, it's very, very different, right? We want to use our database so that we're nurturing relationships. We're not going to, the goal is not to get that 3% and just chase that 3%, chase that 3%. It's about taking the folks that we already know and deepening those relationships. So calling our folks. Like we should be calling any active leads coming in. We should be calling past clients, anyone that visits your website, and the prospects inside your database. We should be texting. By the way, calling, texting, email, social media. These 4 things. Guess where I got this from? Those 4 main points.
Got GPT.
Nope. NAR does a lot of consumer surveys.
and they say, what kind of agent communications do you value the most? And they said, I value it when my agent calls me and tells me what's going on with the market. And I value it when they text me to share updates and properties and stay in touch. I value it when they email me. I value it when they engage with me on social media. So I'm not like I didn't just make this up, right? The consumers are saying, this is how I like to communicate with agents here. So whether it's texting out availability, texting out questions, texting about opportunities, and if you call someone, they don't answer the phone, what do? Text them, right? Same thing, emails, emailing out properties, email list of properties, squeeze pages, sharing advice, following up on things, resources, recommendations. And if you called and you texted and they didn't answer, what do then? Email them, right? And then social media, being able to engage with them on social media. But this part of social media is more about engagement. This is not about the post. This is about liking other people's posts, commenting on their posts, those kind of things.
Oh, yeah.
You do want to share the videos that speaks to your target clients, but this is much more about engaging with them. Our business, I'm trying to figure out how to word this in the right way. This is how we built our business. I was raised by a single mom. My wife is my partner. We've been in the business for a long time, but and our role has changed a lot over the time. I'm not out. I don't compete with my agents. I'm not out trying to actively sell. But when we built our entire business on the Win by Noon strategy. And I don't know, does anybody know what Win by Noon is? Anybody heard of it? Well, I'm going to break it down what Win by Noon is. And so Win by Noon is how it's a type of time blocking. Now for us, we would get up in the mornings, do our morning routine, that kind of stuff. When we go to the office, our first hour is prospecting. We would call call 2 or 3 past clients. We would call 2 or 3 folks inside our database. We would go through our hot and our warm list, which I'll teach you about in a minute. We'd write 2 handwritten notes each every day. We'd always do that for the first hour. You know why it's the first hour?
Because people are just like.
Well, first of all, the 2 best times to call is drive times. 8 to 10, 4 to 6. It's the best time. So pick one of those 2 for your call. The other thing for most agents, prospecting is like eating a frog. How do you eat a frog?
One night at a time.
Quickly. You get that crap over
I was
with.
thinking, I don't want to.
No, absolutely. No one wants to eat a frog. How many of you guys want to get up and make phone calls tomorrow morning?
You know,
It's your frog,
yeah.
right? So, but if you get up in the morning, you start answering emails. Do you ever go back and eat your frog? No, you don't. So for us, that was always it. We've always spent our first hour prospecting. Now, second hour, that's what we called admin. Now is when I check email. Now is when I set up any kind of appointments for later the day. Now is when I update my database, that kind of stuff. The last hour was always marketing. Now is when you're going to do your video. Now is when you're going to post on the social media. Now is when you're going to share properties into your database. Now is when I'm going to engage with my lead system. But I do that every single day. So if somebody calls me and says, hey, can you show me a property tomorrow at 10 a.m.? What do you think I say? I'm tied up until about 12:15. I can't at this point. Can I go and set us up a showing for then? Because when you guard your time like this, and every day you spend some time prospecting, working on your admin and working on marketing, every day you become very routine with that. First of all, your clients will respect you more. At this point, you're running your business is not running you. This took us a long time to figure this out. I'm the guy that left my kids sitting on the step at the school because I was, like I'd leave them not all the time, but there has been times I left my kids sitting there waiting on dad to show them up because we're showing the house, right? So I understand, but once you start realizing that I can manage my entire business this way. If I have to go on a listing appointment tonight, maybe we pick up the kids from school and we go to the park. Maybe we go over here. You have a lot of flexibility in the rest of your day. If I need to show a house, when am I setting that showing up? Anytime the rest of the day. If I'm going on a listing appointment, I'm going to set that up for the rest of the day. I'm gonna guard this time. Our lender says, hey, can I take you to lunch? Well, you can after 12, but not before 12. I can't meet you for breakfast because I got plans. I have appointments. Now, it's rare for a client to say, you can only meet me at this time. It happens very rarely. It does happen, but it's really rare. That should be how you guard this. You should guard and protect your time. But once you start managing your business like a business, if you had a business, would you have hours of operation?
Yes.
Would you have a list of this is what I do when I go in, this is what I do when I deal with clients, this is what I do when I closing procedures, this is how I do that. You would have all these systems, right? But a lot of us wake up at the crack of noon. I'm serious, right? And I'm not being mean about it, but like it is what it is. So this is, I can't, like, there's everybody in the world that's trying to sell you a system or give you an easy button, or if you'll just pay $49.99 a month and if you'll just do this. And what I'm telling you is that routine and systems will make you more money than any of that BS. Like, this is the easy button in real estate. Systems, routine, boring. There's nothing sexy about this. I'm just being very real. Now, we also use a planner. Now, feel free to steal hours if you want to. If you go to max1.rocks/planner, this has your whole month in there. It has a weekly planner, 7 daily action planners inside there. Now, you'll notice on each of the daily action planners, what do you see? Time for prospecting, marketing, and admin, right? Because those are 3 really big pieces that you need to block out time for. Some of us have another job. Some of us have other things that are going on. Maybe you can't do win by noon, but maybe you do win by 6 or win by 5 or whatever it may be kind of stuff. But you have to have some time when you plan that out. For us, it was always in the mornings, but that's just how it worked for our business. That make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. That's one very important piece that I'm not trying to oversell, but it's super important for your business. The other thing is our hot and warm list that we did. Anybody here have a hot and warm list? Okay, and please, this is another one that if I could say things that were the most important to our business, this is one of them. So everybody needs to have a hot list. Hot list is anybody that's committed to working with you in the next 3 to 6 months. Okay, I mean, we all have a list of folks who's like, oh, we'll do that after we do this. I just need to get my credit right. I need to make this repair. I need to paint this bedroom. So-and-so has to graduate, whatever it may be. We've got a list of clients. You have to stay on top of them or they will forget you. So your hot list is very, very important. Now, we just saw that whole little video that we did earlier, right? Your hot list, should it be listed somewhere, printed somewhere where you can see them? It should be. And I know this, first of all, is it old school? Yeah, absolutely. Is there anything wrong with old school when old school works? No, see, that's the thing. Just because it's old school don't mean it's out of date. It may be old school, but it works great. Now, what happens when I look at my hot list every day? And then I go to a new construction neighborhood and I find these folks that are running a 4.99. And I remember that, oh, Susie said that she was interested in buying, but she's really worried about the interest rates. Who do I need to call? Because I'm thinking about my clients, but these kind of things, because I'm looking, paying attention to that. So you should have a hot list of folks. Now, in addition to your hot list, you need to have a warm list. Now, a warm list, this is where you go through most agents end up going through their phone, hopefully through your database, right? You want to go through your database. You want to go through the names. Now, again, I know this is old school, but please take it to heart, right? I want you to go through your list of people. Think about them, bring them into your consciousness, think of everything that you know about them. I'm not talking about a bunch of cold leads here. No, I'm talking about people that know you, and you're trying to do business with. And then you want to say, do they fit into any of the 9 Ds? Now, what are the 9 Ds?
Death
Nine
and
Ds.
divorce, I know, but
The 9Ds are why people move. People move because of life events. So let's talk about the 9Ds. So unfortunately, when someone dies, there's a lot of times real estate needs to get liquidated. Yes. With divorce, we've had a divorce where we helped them sell. I helped the husband buy a home. My wife helped the wife buy a home. We got 3 transactions out of 1 divorce. I'm not saying that it's a good thing. I'm not like, yay, divorce. I'm just saying also divorce is also up right now. Diamonds. First comes love, then comes marriage, right? And then somebody buys a house, in a lot of cases. Diplomas. It could be diplomas from college, high school, that kind of stuff. We see a lot of things happen around diplomas. It could be that mom and dad sell the home after the kids graduate. It could be that they get out of college. Now they go buy a home, that kind of stuff. Diapers. Those little people take up a lot of damn space. Right? Downsizing. So right now there's a huge group our silver folks, our silver tsunami folks are talking a lot about downsizing, and it's a complete lie. Okay. Well, maybe not complete lie. They all want to downsize. What's the average downsize square footage change? 100 square feet. They go down to the size of a walk-in closet, basically. That's their extent of downsizing. So not really doing it. Dumpsters. What are dumpsters? I mean, if you see a dumpster, what normally happens? You see a dumpster in a driveway. What's going to happen to a house?
remodeling to get sold.
It could be remodeling, it could be getting fixed up, could be a flip, whatever, but most of the time after a dumpster, there's a sale that comes along. Discretionary income. What happens when folks start making a lot more money?
They won't spend it.
Yeah, when companies are coming into certain areas, when companies are getting promoted, when folks are going up or down. And then daily grind. Who do you know that has a ridiculous drive? We had some, I live in McDonough. We had some friends that he was driving to Kennesaw every day. Wow. Now I said was because how long could he drive to Kennesaw every day? He did it for almost a year. At that point, he's like, "This is ridiculous. We have to live in Kennesaw."
Yeah.
Right. So, but when you take your database here and you have your 9Ds here, and you compare the two, you go through and anybody that has a 9D, you check them off. Right. You're checking them off, going through. Who should you call? The 9D, yeah. Right? I mean, we said the average person has a database of 300 to 500 people. Is it realistic that you're going to call 300 to 500 people and build a regular relationship with them? No. But how about when you know the folks or are paying attention to the folks? I mean, when you go through social media and you see people talking about, we talk about everything on social media. Can you not think of how much of that you could find just from following your friends on social media and being able to identify that? Because see, once you have your warm list, you have this big database of people. Now you want to narrow that list down. But it's not just about having it. It's about reaching out because now you've got to up your relationships with them. You have to engage with them. Y'all with me here? This is a really, really big deal. If you're not engaging with them, they're not on your warm list. It's only when you call and they answer. It's only when you text and they respond. That's when you're at that point, right? So you may have 70, 80, 100 people identified, but it's about getting that down. So for us, again, this is how we built our business. Every Monday, I would count up how many people I had on my hot and my warm list. If I had 30 people on my hot and my warm list that I was engaging with, we averaged a closing a week. If I had 45 people on my hot and warm list that we were engaging with, we had 2 closings a week. Now, some people are like, that seems like a lot. It was a lot. But that's how we built our entire business. Like I said, I wasn't brought up in money. Like the chairs you're sitting at, the tables here, everything here is because of compensation. So, and these are the tricks for, maybe trick sounds wrong, but like these are the systems that we use. We used Win by Noon every day. We used our hot and our warm list every day. So when I say prospecting, this is what I mean by prospecting, right? when I'm calling out to the folks, do you think I was just randomly calling? Because everybody out there is like, yeah, you should call, you should call, you should call. Who should you really be calling?
Yeah.
Right. But it's about building rapport, building relationships with them. Right? Do you have to sell to these people?
You would like to, but
Well, but see, the thing is that like it's about trust. If I call and just start selling to you, you'd be like, man, I sure trust that guy. I mean, this is the most expensive asset most Americans will ever own. They want to trust you. Trust is way more important than selling. So I don't sell. I'm a relationship guy. And that's the whole idea about what we do here. So again, lead systems fill our databases. Some of those leads will transact with us. We want to pluck those out. The ones that aren't ready go inside our database. We start engaging with them. We identify our hot and warm list, and we keep and maintain those. So that's our whole thing. Now, there's multiple ways to look at your business. Another one is, and we see that this number runs very, very consistent. Every 40 conversations about real estate, one will transact with you. They have 40 conversations about real, I don't mean 40 conversations. I mean 40 conversations about buying and selling. One will end up closing. So you get 4 from folks at open house, 2 from Facebook posts, Op City leads, a YouTube video you did, all that. You get 40 transactions, 40 conversations. What happens? You're gonna close it, right? So how much money y'all want to make this year? Huh? It's in your book. I want you to fill it out. Think about it. How much you want to make this year? You have to tell me, but you probably tell yourself. I think you'll be surprised about something here. So I'm just going to say, for my example, I want to make $125,000. Sound good? All right. So my goal for the year is $125,000. Now, when a house sells, how much do you take home pre-tax? So it depends on what your split is, depends on what your average compensation is. So some people it's 2, some people it's 2.5, some people it's 3, some people they do flat fee. There's no set amounts, but let's just say, and you want to take your split off that. So whether you're 80-20, flat fee, whatever, right? So let's just say I charge, my average home is $300,000 and I charge 3%. So that means that the average compensation is $9,000. My split's $475. So I make I make $8,500 every time a house sells. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Does everybody have that number? You hear all the time, know your numbers, know your numbers. Nobody tells you what your numbers are. So if I want to make $125,000 and I make $8,500 every house that sells, I need to sell 15 houses this year. You guys with me?
yes.
How many houses do y'all need to sell? You can't hit your numbers if you don't know your numbers. 26, all right. Everybody know the number? Anybody need me to help?
It's 100K for a whole year.
So you make 100,000. How much do you make when a house sells?
I'm putting myself at 200.
All right, you want to make 200,000. How much do you make when a house sells? Do you make 8,000, 9,000, 10,000? What do you make?
6.
Huh?
6.
6,000? That means you need 33 transactions this year. Everybody with me? Now, on the next line down, I want you to take whatever that transaction number is. In my example here, I need 15 transactions. I want you to multiply it times 40. So my 15 times 40 means I need 600. My annual quota is 600 conversations a year. Sounds daunting, doesn't it? Well, first it does. But then I want you to take that number and I want you to divide it by 12, because there's 12 months in the year. And now I need 50 a month. Now I work 5 days a week, 4 weeks in a month. So I'm going to divide that number by 20. Every day I'm working, I need to have 2.5 conversations about real estate. Call it 3, because we always round up. So if I have 3 conversations about real estate every day, I'll have 50 a month. I'll have 600 a year. 1 out of every 40 will transact business with me, and I'll end up with 15 closings. My average compensation is $8,500 a transaction, times my 15 closes means I'm going to make $125,000 this year.
Wow.
But if you don't know your numbers, you cannot hit them. You don't know what those numbers represent. It's not really about, a lot of times when you say, oh, I got to have 600 conversations this year, people go, ugh. Then you're like, all right, it's 2.5 a day, 3 a day.
Yeah.
Right. That doesn't seem too bad. I can walk in Home Depot and have 5, you know?
Mhm.
So that's definitely one real big opportunity that we could be taking advantage of. This. You guys with me?
Yes.
All right. I want to take you into our next step, which is, what about when you don't need any leads at all? Well, if you want to do that, then what I want to encourage you is that you need a top 50 list. With the top 50, you are no longer doing lead generation. You pretty much stopped doing lead generation. So what a top 50 is, these are 50 people that you're going to engage with. You will not sell them. This is not a group that gets sold to. These are folks that's going to tell everyone in the world about you and going to send you referrals. This is a referral building piece of your business. And it should be like the ultimate goal, I feel, for most folks. So what I want you to do is I want you, if you're going to implement a top 50, you go through and you identify 50 people, not 20, not 17, not 35, 50 people. Now, everybody wants to look at existing clients. It can be, but it really shouldn't be. It needs to be past clients, friends, family, that kind of stuff. It needs to be relationships that you have in the past, those kind of things. Church, sororities, fraternities, any of that kind of stuff. You want to do that. Then you want to look at this group. There's 3 questions that it takes to be on your top 50. You have to like them, think that they like you, and feel like they'll give you 1 referral a year. Don't put somebody on there that you don't like. It's going to be like, well, she's got a lot of money. I don't care. Don't put that person on your top 50. You need to like them, think they like you, and feel like they'll give you 1 referral a year. You guys with me?
Yes.
Mhm.
Then you identify these people in your database. Not because you're going to do anything through your database, but this is a place where you keep up with them. You have to get all the information about them. These people are not sold to. These folks are special. We aren't sending them property alerts. We aren't doing these kind of things. These people get better, more. These people get your true time and attention on you. So you want to reach out to those top 50 folks. Now, in person is hands down the best, but at least on phone. This is not a group that you text. This is not a group that you would email on. I mean, you might email them, but not, especially not on the initial, right? So a direct phone call or in person is really what you want to do. Now, when you first reach out, okay, please reach out. When you reach out, you're going to do one of 2 things. You're either going to utilize an apology script, or you're going to be using the Ford questions. So let's talk about, does everybody have an apology script? Everybody needs an apology. Every realtor needs an apology script. I can guarantee there's people in your phone and in your database that you have not spoken to. And you know what? You need to fall on your sword.
A stink.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't go with I stink, but like, you know what? I really enjoyed working with you. You know what? I haven't talked to you in forever. I miss our conversations. I miss hanging out with you, you know? Ever since our kids graduated, I just never see you. Ever since, you know, like we're on different soccer teams now, whatever,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
I haven't done a good job keeping up. I want to change that. You know, anybody that would be like, screw you, get out of here. No, no one would,
Right.
right? There's something real valuable in being able to say, you know what? I didn't keep up with you the way I wanted to, and I'm going to fix that. How are things? How you been doing? What's going on? Catch me up. Is anybody offended by that?
Mhm.
Is that salesy? Is that pushy?
I don't think so.
No, it isn't, right? Hey, I was thinking about you, and it popped in my mind. I hadn't talked to you in forever. Anybody be like, get out of here? Nobody, right? So everybody needs a really good apology script. A lot of times you start off with an apology script. Now, in addition to the apology script, you want to jump into the Ford questions or the Ford dialogue. Anybody know what Ford is? And I call them Ford questions because that's exactly what they are. You aren't selling anything. FORD, family, occupation, recreation, and dreams.
Mhm.
Now, what do you think are 4 things that people like to talk about? Family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. So when you are calling, did you see on here selling them crap?
No.
No, because that's not what this is about,
Mhm.
right? We want to call and catch up with their family. We want to, you know, any of the history they have, what's going on with the kids, the wife, all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
A lot of folks are very tied to their career. Let them talk about it. Hey, what's going on with your job? What's happening with the career? By the way, Americans are really very cordial overall. If I ask you, hey, how's the kids? What are you going to ask me about?
Your kids.
Your
Okay.
kid. Mhm.
If I ask you about the job, what are you going to ask me about?
How things going with
You
you?
know, I love real estate. I mean, for me, there's nothing greater than getting a referral.
Wink, wink.
Yeah, right. I mean, but you know, like one of the easiest things to do is if you ask other people questions you want them to ask you, they will ask you those back,
Yeah.
right? Recreation and dreams. I mean, like what's going on? What are you doing? Where are you going for the summer? These kind of things can all be really, really productive. So when you reach out, maybe you have to fall on your sword because you haven't been keeping up. But most of the time, that's on your initial call. That's on your initial meetup. It's because you haven't done it, right? So you want to start off with that. Now, for most folks, they start off with the apology script, and that's okay. You need to do that. Now, when you do call folks, please smile on the phone. I don't know what kind of black magic it is, but I can hear when you smile on the phone, and they can hear when you smile on the phone. I don't know what it is, but have you ever heard somebody on the phone? You're like, I know they're smiling. Like you can just tell. So smile when you're on. I'm serious. It's so true.
Wow.
Have your database open while you're on the phone, because like you do want to fill in your database on here, but it shouldn't be like an interrogation, right? I mean,
Mhm.
like when you call, you need to listen more than you talk. And God gave you 2 ears, 1 mouth. Use those proportions. Right. But when you ask people questions, shut up and let them answer. When other people can talk, do they feel like they own that conversation? They value it. Absolutely. Kind of thing. So you can also use the 4 questions to fill in your database. Like when you're talking to them, most of us may only have a phone number. We might need to get an email address. We might need to get their home address. Maybe you're going to be doing birthday cards or Christmas cards or things like that.
Yes, ma'am.
Right.
Mhm.
And so like now's the time to do it. But what you don't want to come across is that like there's a spotlight, like what's your address? What's your phone number? You know, what's your cousin's third name? Or, you know, like that kind of stuff. All right. So you're not trying to like grill them. You may have to make 4 or 5 phone calls over the few months to get all the information on somebody you need.
Mhm.
It's okay. You're going to talk to them again, right? Because this is a group that you want to reach out to on a very regular basis. But you start off by identifying them and then starting to reach out and engage them, right? Because we want to build engagement and trust with our top 50. So every month you want to reach out. Every person in your top 50 needs to get something better personalized. This is not the group to get bulk things sent out. This is not the group that gets just a random property alert, that kind of stuff. This is not a group that you will try and sell anything to. That seemed backwards. For most people, it seems most people are like, so what? I don't even talk about real estate. I don't even care if you talk about real estate that much. This is about building trust, right?
Mhm.
You know, like, do you guys trust anyone that calls and tries to sell you anything?
Mhm.
So,
All they care about is money.
well, but that's what comes across.
Mhm.
So, what are you asking for when you call? Do you think?
A relationship and
Well,
to
I mean,
remember.
what
that
happens is
you're-
when you start calling these folks, they'll be like, well, what can I do for you?
Referrals.
On the note, right? This is about referrals. This is about relationships. Hey, I just hope that if you happen to know anybody that could use some help buying and selling homes, that you would refer me. This is a really, really big deal. This is not about selling. Actually, this is the opposite of selling. This is all about relationship. Yes, you are going to talk about real estate. Yes, you are going to. It is so that they do know that you don't want to be a secret agent, right? But this is something where when you ask, your only ask is a referral. Now sometimes they will come and say, well, can you tell me we're thinking about an investment property? That's okay, but that's not your goal. If that makes sense. Y'all with me?
Mhm.
All right. So, of course, you could be using phone calls. Phone calls is a great way to check in, right? Handwritten notes. Handwritten notes are so powerful. Like, there's 2 handwritten notes sitting on my desk right now. You know why they're there?
Because they were handwritten.
It feels wrong to throw them away.
Yeah.
Right? Like if I'm going to write you a note, you should put that thing up on the wall somewhere. 'Cause I don't write a lot of notes. It's important, right? I mean, I value the fact that these are like real handwritten notes. It just feels wrong to just chuck them. So handwritten notes, thank you notes, birthday cards, Christmas cards, that kind of stuff. All those things can be really, really powerful that you could do. One other thing I also that we've always done is kind of, never eat alone. Most folks, most days of the week, are you going to go have lunch somewhere? Yep. Most time I'll just be like, y'all want to meet for lunch? If we're meeting for lunch, does that mean I'm buying? Most of my friends would be offended if I tried, if it was all about that. I meet a lot of folks for lunch and it's always Dutch. Every once in a while they'll pick up, every once I'll pick up. That's okay. But most of the time it's really, really Dutch. So it could be lunch, brunch, coffee, drinks. I love to meet up at food trucks. I know it sounds weird, but like, hey, have you tried the taco truck? Want to meet there for lunch? There's a little one that's popped up down by me, kind of that. And so all that is really good stuff to do.
Yeah.
You could even, like for your folks, even though it's not selling, could you offer equity assessments for your folks? Yeah, absolutely. It'd be great. So you can invest in HomeBot or My Home IQ, put your folks on there, send over video invites, bombs. I love asking my top 50 group surveys. Your top 50, like when you send them a survey, so let's say I want to send you the survey that says, hey, I'm trying to improve my business. Would you rate me on these things and make some recommendations on how I can better serve clients? I want you to think what an impression that puts. First of all, is this person professional? Yeah, right. They feel like, okay, they know what I'm talking about. Also, are they now helping me with my business? Are they investing their time in my business? Think about how valuable that is for you, right?
Mhm.
So once I do that, we follow up with thank you cards, we follow up with personal phone calls, that kind of stuff. You can invite them to the Braves, cheap seats at the Braves game, does a great job. Beat the heat night if you're doing it. We have a couple of folks that 4 times a year they bring folks to all their clients to their house. They put up the big inflatable screen and they do a movie night in their backyard. Some folks do pictures with Santa. Some do pet pictures with Santa now. Since so many kids, like if you're doing first time buyers, pet pictures with Santa goes nuts now. It's crazy. Anytime you get coupons from different companies that can help them with different homeowner things like that, small American flags in the yards of any of the veterans that are currently part of your list on here. Pop buys are also a really great thing to do with this group. I like pop buys a lot, but back in the day, it was so hard to like, who am I going to, I mean, pop buys, they cost a little bit of money. They take more time. It has to be somebody really special to get a pop buy. Well, that's what this top 50 group is. These are someone that's worthwhile doing these pop buys, right? So, I mean, like we just had what with green?
St. Patrick's.
St. Patty's Day. So you put chocolate coins in a little green pouch, drop that off. Hey, that's what you know how valuable you are to me. I know. Now, one thing about pop buys, they're all really dad jokes wrapped up in a little gift. They really are, right? Grilling tools dropped off. Let them know your referrals keep me cooking, right? Peeps. Hey, you're my kind of peeps. I mean, we got Easter coming up. Now's a great time to drop off peeps.
Yeah.
I love doing that, when it gets into the fall, s'mores, crackers, marshmallows, bag of marshmallows, that kind of stuff. It's not very expensive to do. Seeds, bulbs, and plants, because, if it weren't for you, my business wouldn't grow. Again, all dad jokes. I get it. I've always been the cheap wine guy. I like cheap wine. Okay, that sounds bad. It sounds like I'm an alcoholic, but does anybody mind a free bottle of wine? No, huh? Exactly. Friends like you, I have nothing to whine about.
That's right.
Lotto tickets, because I want you to know how lucky I am to get your referrals. Are you picking up on a theme here?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So the whole idea is that if you're really going to put a top 50 together, the real kicker is you have to be very intentional about it, and you have to plan it ahead. The whole plan to fail is failing to plan kind of thing really, really goes. So you have to decide what you're going to do ahead of time, because life gets really busy. If you don't decide ahead of time, then it won't be there. Like, it won't be time to do it, that kind of stuff. Is that making sense?
Yeah.
So you want to keep all your notes inside your database. So this is always kind of how we did most of our top 50 every month. We gave ourselves 3 options. And so sometimes it was everybody would get the same thing. Sometimes it would be parts. Sometimes it would be if I didn't get a hold of them one way, I would go a different. So first of the year, January, I want to call and wish everybody Happy New Year. Just have a little conversation with them. But if they don't answer, maybe I send them a handwritten note. And if I still can't get a hold of them, maybe I invite a few of those folks to lunch on a particular day. February, Valentine's card, that's a nice thing to do. You could also do some sort of Valentine's pop by if you wanted to in there. 1 month you ask them to do the survey, about your business and that kind of stuff. Maybe we invite some folks out to coffee. Next month, of course, we just did St. Patrick's Day. Maybe you do a pop by there. Then you follow up on the survey the following month with hey, these are the results. Maybe they get a little $5 Starbucks gift card, something letting them know how much you appreciate them. I love calling clients on April Fools. I know it sounds weird, but when you call on April 1st, hey, it's no joke. I want you to know I really do appreciate our relationship, right? It's a nice thing to do. For us, it would also made it very easy to be able to manage, because we're like, okay, I'm making at least 50 phone calls on the first. You can schedule it for that kind of stuff. But when you plan it out like this, just like bulk, you kind of got a game plan for reaching out and following up on these people. Now, there's a lot of people in our business that have built this kind of thing over time naturally. A lot of times there'll be that 1 or 2 realtors that just seem to know everybody. They've been in the business for forever. If you really think about it, they've built businesses naturally through stuff like this, through being engaged. And they've probably been in the business 20, 30 years kind of thing, right? For most of us, do we have 20 or 30 years to wait to get that productive?
No.
So, but if you're intentional with it, you don't have to wait 20 or 30 years.
Right.
Y'all with me?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's talk about the premise of, do you believe that you get by giving?
Yes.
I I believe that is the essence of everything that we do.
Absolutely.
Well, like even in real estate, when do we get paid?
At the end.
That close.
How much do we put forward? Everything.
Yeah.
Right? All of our work is done well beforehand. And is there any guarantee of getting paid? No. I mean, how many deals y'all have die the day of closing? I've had a bunch, unfortunately, right? So there's no guarantees. And so like this becomes almost like the entire premise for our business on here. So like this is from Zig Ziglar, and I think it's really, really appropriate, right? Life's an echo. What you send out comes back. What you give, you get. What you reap, you sow. What you see in others exists in you. I think that's really, really true. If you are going to do a top 50 referral type program, then your entire life or your entire business really becomes about the referral lifestyle, right? And so your goal is, I want to give a lot of referrals out. Yes. Do you need referrals in? 100%. But what happens when you give referrals? You get referrals.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
Yeah.
I mean, like, you ever go to, like, sometimes you see these networking things. You ever go to these there's always that one guy that slides through just throwing his cards at everybody,
Yeah.
right? He doesn't want your card. He just wants to give you his.
Yeah.
Do you ever call that guy?
No.
Nobody else does either. Right? But I mean, like this is all about when you give, you get. It really is very, very true kind of thing. So, but like this becomes like a mindset, if that makes sense. When you're living the referral mindset, then you truly do have to get by giving. So if I give one referral every week, if I give one referral out every week, what do you think I'll get back? Maybe one referral, right? I mean, like most of the time referrals work that way. I give one, I get one kind of thing. Even if half of those come back, even if you give 25 referrals out, how many, if you give 50 out and only half come back, what would 25 referrals do to your business right now? I mean, like it's a big, big deal, right? Now, how you handle referrals is vitally important. So if I'm going to send somebody a referral, I'm going to send them that referral. I'm going to call them. I'm not just going to say, hey, go talk to Debbie. I'm going to say, hey, go talk to Debbie. Here's how you get a hold of her, whole 9 yards. Then I'm calling Debbie. Debbie,
Hello.
hey, I just sent you blah, blah, blah. I know you do such a phenomenal job, and I knew that you'd be the right person to help them out. This is their name. This is their number. If you have any questions, let me know. Now, what does Debbie think now?
Wow.
Right? But now, if I hadn't done that, would my referral maybe not send anything?
Awesome.
Sometimes
That's
they'll
true.
say,
That's
sometimes they
right.
won't.
Yeah.
But now,
That is true.
when Jane Doe comes, what's Debbie going to think? Oh, this came
Oh,
from Alan.
Alan called me.
Right.
Told
And
me
said,
to be called.
yeah, and call with a real name. Don't just be like, I sent you a person, right? Give them a name, that kind of stuff. Show real.
Just like she did.
Right.
Mhm.
Now, when you get a referral, it's even more important that you call the referrer. Like I've had people come and say, hey, Tony said to come talk to you and do whatever you said. Well, I'm going to call Tony, be like, Tony, thank you so much for sending me yada, yada, right? I live off referral, and the fact that you would send them to me just means the world. Thank you so very much. Now, when we go start looking at houses, what do you think I'm going to do? Hey, Tony, I just took yada, yada out to look at a house. I'll let you know how we're doing. Okay. Hey, Tony, just wanted you to know we're under contract. Hey, Tony, just want you to know closing's next week. Hey, Tony, we're closed. I just want to tell you thank you so much that I wouldn't have got to meet these wonderful people if it hadn't been for you. And I just really appreciate that. What do you think Tony's going to do now?
He's
Is
sending you
another
big-
Is he going to send me more people?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Does he know that I'm going to take care of them?
Yes.
yeah.
That's a really, really big deal here. I mean, living this referral lifestyle is super important. Now, who do you want to give referrals to?
People
Someone
trust.
that will help.
Well,
local businesses that you know do a good job.
You want it to be like, well, first of all, if you can give a referral to somebody in your top 50, is that not the ultimate?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I don't count referrals most of the time, like a lender referral for a business, that's not really it. I'm talking about someone to work on a car, someone to do repairs, someone to do this over here, maybe to be a builder, like real referrals for all things. When you start becoming that go-to person and you start giving those you have to look for opportunities to give referrals.
Mhm.
The other thing is be very, very careful who you refer. It matters so much. I lost a very dear friend when I referred a moving company that completely screwed the pooch. Messed up a lot of his furniture, and then lawyered up and wouldn't pay. When he called me, he was like, Alan, I want you to know it's not your fault, but you gave me their name and number.
They suck.
Well, and I'm out this, and I'm like, I'll pay you for it, right? I felt terrible, like they broke the leg off his baby grand.
Oh, no.
And it's so scary because anybody, any company can have a bad day.
I get that,
I mean,
but like make it right.
yeah.
And they didn't.
Exactly.
Right.
And I gave him the number.
Yeah.
I gave him the name.
Right.
Did you call them and tell them you'd never give them another name?
I did, but it
I
didn't
would
fit.
have to.
They had lawyered up.
Yeah.
It didn't matter.
And I'm
Well,
not,
it
I'm not,
wouldn't
I'm not
matter.
bashing moving companies, but it's not just there. Anybody that you refer,
Yeah.
especially living this referral lifestyle, a referral from you has to mean something.
Yeah.
I mean, like, that's a very, very big deal. It's very important for us to understand that.
Yeah.
Y'all with me here on this?
Yeah.
So let's talk about the results if you can really run a true top 50 program. So you have 50 people and you give out 50 high quality touches every single month. Once a month for an entire year. All year long, you give out you got all these referrals, you reach out, you do your pop buys, you engage with these 50 people. Here's your results. 40%, 20 of them will give you 3 or more referrals. That's 60 referrals. Half of them will give you 1 referral. That's another 25. That's 85 referrals. 5 of them won't give you any referrals at all. What do you do with it? What do you do with it?
Keep trying.
Me? I still love you. You'll go into my database.
Yeah.
But you're not going to be part of my top 50,
That's true.
right? So
Oh,
like
yeah.
I'm not like you're dead to me or nothing, but like if I'm looking for folks that are looking to really partner with me,
Right.
right? Because this is a referral thing. It's not about being mean. It's not about I'm not like kill them all, but like look, I'll put you. You're still going to stay in my database. You may still be in my hot and warm list, but you're not going to be part of my top 50. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
It does.
So that means that you're sitting on 85 referrals, and that's not even counting if you give a referral a day. I mean, I'm sorry, a referral a week as well. So if you figure that even if all you got was 15 referrals out of giving 1 referral a week back, how many referrals a year is that? It's 100 referrals. What's your business do with 100 referrals?
Keep it.
Well, what percentage of referrals close?
Almost
Actually, the number's between 70 and 80%
okay.
actually close. That should mean that it's between 70 and 80 transactions just out of running this one thing.
Wow.
And for most people, that's way more than they're doing right now. Not being mean about it.
Yeah,
That's a lot of transactions right there.
it is.
Now, when you look at this, if I'm getting 100 referrals a year, what lead systems am I using? Not a damn one. I mean, I'm just being straight up, right? Am I out trying to generate leads Am I trying to focus on that?
No.
Like, this is where I can hope that our businesses go. Because once you're operating at this level, like, you don't care what Zillow's paying, you don't care about buying leads, you don't care about internet, you don't care about any of that kind of stuff. Because all your business is coming off a referral.
Mhm.
It's a very different place to operate in than you would be just chasing leads. Right? I mean, this is where I want you to end up, but I don't want you to miss out on what we first started talking about. And that is, everybody out there is chasing leads. This is the exact opposite of chasing leads. This is the end, like, the other end of the spectrum from chasing leads, right? Because the whole idea here, just so that we're kind of wrapping up, because we're pretty much there, is that when we start with our target client and we're utilizing our systems, what's the big system that we're going to utilize? CRM, database, that kind of stuff. Any leads that we get, those are folks that go into our database, and we're using our database to build relationships. We're plucking those folks out. We're going to use our hot and our warm list to pull people out of our database that are most likely to buy and sell. And then we want to start building a referral business out of that by identifying 50 people that we focus on and then engage with authentically. One other thing that I don't think I have it listed anywhere is when I've got 50 people that I'm not selling to, that I'm engaging with, that I'm doing pop buys with, that we're calling, and I know about their kids and they know about mine, and I'm involved in their lives and they're involved in my life. Like, this is good stuff. Like, I have friends for life from doing this. This is not about selling houses. This really is about kind of a lifestyle, if that makes any sense, right? I'm not hustling. I'm not trying to talk anyone into buying houses. I'm like this is a very different business focus when you're living this type of business. It's not about like there's so many people in our business that do the whole selling real estate, and they do that pushy hardcore sales and that kind of stuff. That's not what this is. But I can't express to you what amazing relationships. And honestly, I bet you guys have some of these same relationships right now with folks that started off as a client and now are family to a certain degree. I know it's been that way. Well, I mean, you're that way too, right?
Yeah,
You were that way with Shannon and Bobby, right?
I love people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew Shannon, and I mean, yeah, long before she ever became a real estate agent.
Right.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is this is a great way to have a really rich and fulfilling life. That's very, very different. It's also a different way of going to work. You know, I hear there's a lot of people who's like, you know, I don't know if I need to go get a real job. And then you see folks spend a lot of time and energy in a job that they did not put nearly that same energy in this business. And this one can do so much better for most of us because you have no limit on what you can make here. So keep giving to getting. The more you give, the more you receive. It's just a different way to operate. So. Anybody have any questions?
What do you think about referral gift? Because I know it's illegal to have a referral fee.
Okay,
Gift,
explain
like
to me.
Christmas.
Huh?
Christmas gift to someone that referred you
You can give them anything. You can't make it contingent on
to.
you give it to me, and like you know, we see folks who are trying to do like use me and I'll pay you for this, or use me and or refer me. Last time we see it like with schools and things like use me and I'll give this person this. You can't do that.
Yeah.
Right. But you can give gifts as long as it's not hinged on a transaction. Right. So, any questions? Well, I hope this today brought you some value. I hope this was beneficial to you. If I can be of any kind of service, please call, text, or smoke signal. And I hope you have a wonderful day.
It was awesome, and it was really good.